Chapter 244. Hyuanjie sent Guopai and his group to the foot of the Yinyang mountain. Guopai then handed 3 pills to Hyuanjie. The 2 old foxes looked at each other. Guopai got into the car while Li Yao drove towards Wu Castle. Hyuanjie also rushed towards the ghost doctor sect. Now that the official business was done, the matter of the 4 symbols sect should also be settled. A few days later, news came from the Yinyang mountain that the entire 4 symbols sect had been infected with a plague. No one was spared. The place where the 4 symbols sect used to be was completely sealed off. The 4 symbols sect is finished? How is that possible? The ghost doctor sect can't possibly take care of the 4 symbols sect. Quickly go and find out what exactly happened to the 4 symbols sect. News of the Jianghu spread throughout the Jianghu. In less than a month after the 4 symbols sect was destroyed, almost all of the Wuxiu sects in Huaxia knew about it. Pring Tianhua of the Buzhou Mountain stroked his beard. Recently, there was a rumor that his elder brother, Qin Fengyu, had appeared at the Yinyang mountain. He wondered if the matter of the 4 symbols sect had anything to do with him. Of course, Guopai was completely unaware of the things that happened later. The few of them took turns to drive. Around the next morning, the car stopped in front of Bugyaku. The first person who came out to welcome them was not the students of Bugyaku, but the busy Taoist Tongyuan, Guotongyuan. "Boss, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, I would have gone to find you." Guotongyuan ran in front of Guopai and said loudly, "You've been working hard recently. Haha, but you've also benefited a lot." Guopai smiled and said, "You still have to stay in the town hall of Bugyaku for a while. You and I are going to Shushan tomorrow morning." "I'm going too. I'm familiar with Shushan. Let me go with you." "Boss, I'm begging you." Guotongyuan said softly, "Boss, there are some interesting places in Shushan. Others don't know about it. Even the old Taoists don't know about it. Only I know about it. It will definitely be useful for you." "Junior brother Tongyuan, I hope you're not lying to me. If you don't have what I want by then, just you wait," Guopai said with a smile, agreeing to Taoist Tongyuan's request. "Kong Fei, you and Daju will find a place to stay. This time, you 2 will go together. Master Qin, I will leave the matter of the medical center to you." Guopai said with a smile, "Take this bottle of elixirs. Wu Xiu's path is to cultivate the mind and cultivate the body. However, if you keep relying on elixirs to improve your strength, even if you can ascend to the heaven realm in the end, you'll only be doing odd jobs in the heavenly court. I think Master Qin should understand which is more important." Guopai nodded gently and accepted the jade bottle with a trace of emotion. The injury from the day he dealt with the 4 symbols sect at Yinyang Mountain had been healed by Guopai. He had seen Guopai's ability thoroughly. He now admired this young man from the bottom of his heart. "Hmo, how can you marry Guopai?" Lu Yaoshe pulled Hmo to the side and whispered. Sure, why can't I? We are matchmakers. If he marries me officially, I will marry him," Hmo said with a smile. On the way back, she knew that her good friends in Bugyaku would ask her this question, especially Lu Yaoshe. Guopai told Hmo to answer Lu Yaoshe in this way. But Guopai will go to the imperial capital to marry Sister Lin Shuang next month. Lu Yaoshe didn't know what to say. Looking at Hmo's rosy cheeks, she couldn't help blushing too. Sure, you should more or less know about my family. You should also know about Big Bad Guy's sect. Wu Xiu's sect is different from ordinary people. Big Bad Guy is capable. He can marry as many women as he wants. If you want to marry him, as long as Big Bad Guy agrees, I have no objections. You will also have no objections. Hmo's face turned red as she spoke. Little Mo, what are you talking about? Lu Yaoshe ran away as if he was escaping. Hmo looked at her good friend and roughly guessed Lu Yaoshe's thoughts. She couldn't help but laugh. When Guopai returned to Bugyaku became lively again. They all knew that Hmo and Guopai were married. Several girls began to chat with Hiemochen Jiadi, and the others also made fun of Guapai. Taoist Tong Yuan did a lot of work during the days when Guapai was away. There were only a few difficult cases left waiting for treatment outside the door. Brother Yao, I'll need your big jeep tomorrow. After lunch, Guapai smiled at Li Yao and said, You, second brother, third brother, wait for me to come back. I'll give you some good stuff. Fourth brother, let's take a plane. Drive to Shushan. You're really daring. Let's take a plane and directly land at the scenic airport. I have a friend there. I'll ask him to pick you up. Li Yao said with a smile. Plane? Forget it. I'm traumatized by that thing. It'll only take 3 days to drive. I'll take a day with Deju, Kong and I, Guapai said with a smile. Thinking about what happened last time, this banished immortal was indeed traumatized. Haha, fourth brother, you're still thinking about what happened on the plane last time? That was an accident. No, I'll get you a military helicopter and go directly. Oh right, brother, you seem to be a division commander now. Haha, what a high position. Jia Yuan said with a smile. The others also laughed. However, no matter what they said, Guapai still asked Li Yao to leave his big jeep. The next morning, Guapai, Yuer, Taoist Tong Yuan, Shui Deju, and Kong Fei set off for Shushan. Boss, you should give one of Deju and Kong Fei to me. I've been itching to take in a disciple recently. Taoist Tong Yuan said with a smile. Shui Deju knew the background of this kid in front of him and did not say anything. However, Kong Fei was stunned by Guatong Yuan. This kid's tone was not small. Junior brother Tong Yuan, if you want to take in a disciple, go find one yourself. Don't even think about touching my people. Or you can fight with Yuer. If you can beat my first wife, I can consider letting one of them learn something from you. Guapai said with a smile. Taoist Tong Yuan looked at Yuer, who was sitting in the front row. Thinking about the strength that Yuer had shown these days, he shook his head fiercely. Forget it. Although he did not know why Yuer was in the lower realm, and he did not know what kind of person Yuer was in the heavenly court, it was better not to provoke such a person. Haha, first wife, what did you do to them? Why are they afraid of you? Guapai said with a smile. Brother bad guy, I didn't do anything to them. If you want to fight, I can accompany you. Yuer said with a smile. Guapai suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Forget it. We are a good husband and wife. There is no domestic violence. The three of them looked at Guapai and laughed. Guapai drove for about 8 hours. The car got off the highway and drove into a small county. Then, it stopped in front of a well-decorated hotel. Boss, I'm hungry. Should we go and eat first? Guapai said with a smile. Deju and Kong Fei nodded quickly. Guapai touched his stomach. Yes, after driving for 8 hours, he was really hungry. The 5 of them did not bring any luggage. They parked the car and booked 4 rooms. Then, they walked together to a barbecue stall not far away. Bad guy, let's eat somewhere else. This place is too disgusting. Yuer whispered before they sat down. Disgusting? It's not disgusting. The food here smells good. Guapai said with a smile. Not disgusting? Look at what they are barbecuing. Beef, lamb, chicken. If you want to eat, you can eat. I'll go somewhere else. Yuer whispered. Sister Yuer, you are too fierce. This is barbecued beef, lamb, chicken wings, and chicken offal. It's called vertical. You can't say it horizontally. Shui Deju whispered. Yuer's face turned red. Guapai and Taoist Tong Yuan laughed. Kong Fei and Shui Deju also laughed after a while. Chapter 245. They laughed for a while and found a place to sit down. Guapai let Shui Deju and Kong Fei order. The two didn't stand on ceremony. They knew how rich Guapai was. The owner of the barbecue restaurant was also very fast. In a short while, the table was filled with food. Bad guy, I have to say, the barbecue in this small place tastes pretty good, Yuer said with a smile. Although it was very awkward just now. Who was Yuer? She was following Fairy Chang-yi, the #1 person in the heavenly court who couldn't be messed with. She had long forgotten what had just happened. Hua Xia's food has a history of thousands of years. Didn't it start with barbecue? Guo Pai said with a smile. This small town is a bit strange. You can feel it, right? I thought you wouldn't ask. Of course I can feel it. How can there be so much resentment in a small town? Yu took a bite of the mutton and shook her head. Resentment? No wonder I felt a bit uncomfortable when I got off the car. I thought it was because I sat for too long, Shuedeju said while scratching his head. Kong Fei nodded in agreement. Bad guy, are you going to do something about this? Yu asked softly while looking at Guo Pai, who seemed to be deep in thought. You like to meddle in other people's business. What's more, we happen to meet here. There's no reason to ignore it. But let's eat first. Let's eat first, Guo Pai said with a smile. He picked up a skewer that had just been barbecued and ate it in big bites. Everyone, 20 laminate tendons. That's enough for you. If you want to eat something else, just let me know, the owner of the barbecue restaurant said with a smile as he put a plate of laminate tendons on the table. Uncle, sit down and have a drink. There's something I want to ask you. Guo Pai smiled and pulled the bald owner of the barbecue restaurant. He took a stool and placed it next to him. A glass of beer was already filled. I'm Guo Scoundrel. I'm from Wu City. I'm traveling with a few friends and we passed by your place. I wonder if anything has happened here recently? Guo Scoundrel asked the bald boss with a smile. Little brother, you must have seen some reports on the internet. The bald boss said with a smile. I knew that paper can't keep fire from fire. No matter how hard they try to block the news, there will still be people who will know what happened here. Which newspaper are you from? Uncle, I'm really passing by. Did something big happen here recently? Guo Pai smiled and asked. He didn't have any celestial energy left. If he used the mind-reading technique, it wouldn't be so troublesome. Little brother, my name is Peng Dehai. Everyone here calls me Big Brother Hai. You don't have to call me uncle. Calling me Big Brother makes me old, Peng Dehai said with a smile. He then drank a cup of wine and poured himself another cup. Brother Hai, what's the matter? Guo Pai asked with a smile. You really don't know? Peng Dehai asked with a trace of doubt. We are in Xian County. You know about it, right? Ahem, I saw the big signboard when I drove in. That's how I know, Guo Pai said with a smile. 7 days ago, something big happened in Xian County. Peng Dehai lowered his voice and said softly, a few female students died. Big Brother Hai, sister-in-law wants you to go over. Peng Dehai still wanted to say something, but a waiter who passed by hurriedly ran over and whispered to Peng Dehai. I'll come over in a while. You guys eat first. Peng Dehai drank the wine in his cup and walked into the inner room. What's wrong? You don't want me to talk? I don't believe that Hua Xia doesn't have the law. The Xiang family can cover up the sky with one hand. After a while, Guo Pai heard Peng Dehai shouting loudly in the room. Several people who were eating outside looked at the barbecue shop. Keep your voice down. If you want to die, go die. Don't implicate me. I've been with you for so many years. It wasn't easy for me to settle down. What do you want? Peng Dehai's wife said loudly. About 5 or 6 minutes later, Peng Dehai came out of the room and sat next to Guo Pai again. Little brother, I'm sorry. You should ask someone else about this. You probably heard it just now. I'm running a small business. It's not easy to do business. Peng Dehai clenched his fists and shook his head. After that, he went back into the room again. Guo Pai nodded slightly. He already knew why Peng Dehai was so angry. It seemed that the deaths of the female students mentioned by Peng Dehai must be related to this matter. Do you mind if I sit here? A young man who was about the same age as Guo Pai walked to Guo Pai's side with a smile and asked softly. Then, his eyes fell on Yu. If you can promise not to look at my wife again, you can sit here, Guo Pai said with a smile. The young man coughed a few times, apologized, and drank a cup of beer. Let's get to know each other. My name is Wang Long, the young man said softly. Do you want to know what happened in Xian County 7 days ago? If you're willing to tell us, we'd like to hear it, Guo Pai said with a smile. Then, he filled Wang Long's cup. 7 days ago, in a small county like Huaxia, something happened that made hundreds of thousands of people in Yunxi County angry but not dare to say anything. 3 flowery girls had died innocently in the largest KTV in the county. After their deaths, the children's parents did not even see the corpses. They only saw the 3 children being dragged to the KTV and then received 3 urns of ashes. The bodies weren't identified by a forensic doctor. The Public Security Department directly concluded that the 3 girls died of alcohol poisoning because they drank too much. A day later, before the people from the city arrived in Yunxi County, the Yunxi County Public Security Bureau caught fire. The only remaining video footage was all burned. Impossible. My daughter can't go to that kind of place. It's impossible. I know the male student in the video that pulled Xiaoyun. He's Xiang Xiangshan's son. I know why you did this. You're so cruel. Give me back my daughter. A woman in her 30s cried loudly at the door of the county party committee. Take this woman away and lock her up first. Have you dealt with the other 2 families? Money, give them money. If 1 million isn't enough, give them 2 million. Let them admit that their children's behavior is problematic and suppress this matter. On the top floor of the county party committee's office, in the county party secretary's office, a man in his 40s said while smoking, Big brother, Xiao Yu went too far this time. You and sister-in-law can't spoil him like this anymore. If you can't, let him go abroad for a while. A man who looked similar to Xiang Xiangshan said softly. This man was Xiang Xiangshan's younger brother, the director of the Yunxi County Public Security Bureau, Xiang Liuxi. Secretary Xiang, don't worry. We'll pay for all the expenses. As long as there's no trouble, we'll be fine. Recently, we've already closed for reorganization. When the people from the city leave, we'll reopen. A man in his 30s said softly. This man was the owner of the KTV where the incident happened, Summer's Passion KTV, Shang Tianxiong. Tianxiong, after we reopen, those things that can't be shown on the table first. If there's any trouble, you'll have to bear it yourself. Xiang Xiangshan said with narrowed eyes. Okay, I got it. Secretary Xiang, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Xiang Xiangshan nodded lightly. Shang Tianxiong slowly walked out of the county party secretary's office. After he walked out, he took a deep breath. His back was completely drenched. Xiaoshan, keep the backup of the surveillance footage. Don't tell anyone. I'll transfer 100,000 yuan to your account later. Go back to your hometown and stay there for a while. After Shang Tianxiong finished speaking, he hung up the phone. The faces of the 3 girls appeared in his mind again. Chapter 246. How do you know so much? Wang Long calmly told Guo Pao what had happened 7 days ago. Guo Pao looked at the young man in front of him, who was about the same age as him, and asked softly. Because the 3 girls who died were my classmates, Wang Long said softly, as if he wanted to hide something. Because the 3 girls were your classmates, because one of them was your girlfriend, and because you were there that day, right? Yu looked at Wang Long and asked softly. Wang Long raised his head and looked at the beautiful girl in front of him. He didn't admit or deny it. Since there was someone you loved and you were there, why didn't you sue them? Xue Dezhu asked loudly. Brother, lower your voice. Wang Long stood up and covered Xue Dezhu's mouth and said softly. Sue them? How? The people who sang together at the KTV that day all had backings. Not to mention Xiang Yu, there was also the son of the disciplinary committee secretary, the nephew of the court president, and the son of the director of the Public Security Bureau. All of them were rich second generations in Yunxi County. How could I sue them? What about you? Which family are you from? Guopai took a bite of meat and asked with a smile. Me? I'm not a second generation. I'm a dog with good grades. Wang Long stared at Guopai and said. Yes, I'm a dog. I harmed them. We're just passers-by in this small county. It's useless for you to tell us about this. Let's go. Don't disturb us while we eat. Guopai looked at Wang Long and said softly. Shui Dezhu wanted to say something but was stopped by Kong Fei. You really don't care? Wang Long asked again. Why should I care? There are so many things in the world that I can't figure out. Let's not talk about whether I can take care of them. Even if I do, I don't have the energy to do so, Guopai said softly. You can do anything about it. From the first time I saw you, I knew that no one in Yunxi County can do anything about it. In fact, no one in the entire Yuma city can do anything about it. But you can. You're one of those supreme experts mentioned in the books, Wang Long said loudly. The people at the surrounding tables all looked over. You've read too many novels. I can't do anything about this. After Guopai finished speaking, he ordered them to leave again. At this time, 7 or 8 youths dressed like gangsters from a table not far away walked over. I know that I also deserve to die, but I hope that you can help Xiao Yun and the others get justice. Wang Long still wanted to say something, but 7 or 8 youths had already surrounded him. The leading red-haired youth of the 7 hugged Wang Long. Brother Long, we haven't seen each other for a few days. What are you talking about with them? The red-haired youth said with a smile. Let's go and have a seat at our place. Little Yu hasn't come out for the past few days and has asked us to look for you. Didn't Brother Yu go abroad? Wang Long was stunned and asked in a low voice. Brother Gui, I have something to do. I'll leave first. Leave? Where are you going? Are you going to talk to those boys about what happened in Yunxi County a few days ago? Don't worry about it. The youth named Brother Gui slapped Wang Long on the head. Brother Hai, don't touch the food at this table. We'll come back and continue to eat. Heat up the food for us. Let's go out for a walk. Brother Gui said loudly to Pring Dehai, who was grilling the skewers. Pring Dehai didn't dare to offend these people unless he didn't want to run the barbecue shop anymore. Brother Gui, what are you taking me to do? Several youths pulled Wang Long towards a dark alley. What are you doing? I'm not going. I have something to do. Let me go. Wang Long shouted loudly, but he was a student. He couldn't compete with several gangster youths. After a while, he disappeared into the dark alley. Bad guy, are you going to do something about it? Shui Dezhu looked at the alley and asked softly. Don't use your internal strength. Kong Fei, you and Dazhu go and have a look. Guopai said with a smile. He picked up a few cold skewers and walked to Pring Dehai's side. He didn't speak and started to grill the skewers. Little brother, do you really want to take care of this matter? Pring Dehai couldn't help but ask softly. Do you want me to take care of it or not? Guopai said with a smile. If I take care of it, I won't have to pay for this meal, haha. Little brother, I won't hide it from you. One of the 3 girls is the child of a distant relative of mine. Little Yun has been smart since she was young. Every one of our relatives has praised her since she was young. For her to be harmed by these bastards, the heavens must be blind. Pring Dehai shook his head and said, God is blind? Haha, yes, there are some people above who have eyes but can't see. But since they arranged for me to meet them, I can't say that they are blind. Guopai said softly, this meal is on you. Leave the matter of these students to me, haha. After saying that, Guopai picked up the hot skewers and walked to his seat. He smiled and gave half of it to the excited Yu. Brother Gui, what do you want to do? Wang Long was blocked by 7 people in a corner. He trembled as he asked. Weren't you talking happily just now? What do we want to do? Little Yu said that after thinking about it, there is still one uneasy factor, and that is you. You know too much. Brother Gui said as a steel pipe as thick as a child's arm appeared in his hand. Brother Fei, where did you get this cell phone? How can it record so clearly in such a dark place? Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei also walked into the alley. Xue Dezhu held a cell phone and said to the group of people in the corner with a smile, Dezhu, when we return to the capital, I will get you one. This thing is a limited edition. The number of people in Huaxia who have this cell phone can be counted on one hand, Kong Fei said with a smile. What he said was true. The cell phone that the T-Rex group was given was specially developed by Huaxia's Military Institute. Although it didn't look like much, its functions were so powerful that it made people speechless. Then I will thank Brother Fei first, Xue Dezhu said with a smile. Say, if these few people kill this guy called Wang Long and we upload the video online, do you think they will have any hope of escaping the law? Before Kong Fei could answer, 7 young men walked towards Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei. The steel pipe in Brother Gui's hand hit the wall of the alley, and pieces of the wall fell off. The other 6 people also took out all kinds of weapons. Are the 2 of you going to meddle in other people's business? Let me put it this way. If you guys are just passing by Yunxi County, do whatever you need to do. Take it as giving us some face. If you guys are sent by the higher-ups, report to Master Xiang. Master Xiang won't mistreat you, Brother Ghost said with narrowed eyes. Master Xiang? What a great master! However, our bad master said that we will take this person away. Make it convenient for us, Xue Dezhu said with a smile. Before Xue Dezhu finished speaking, Brother Gui gave a look. The 6 people rushed towards Kong Fei and Kong Fei together. Bang bang bang! Baseball bats and steel pipes fell on Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei's bodies without any fancy move. After 3 minutes, the 6 gangsters felt that their hands were numb from the beating and could not help but retreat. Weak, weak, weak. Too weak. Do you think people like you can survive in society? Kong Fei stood up with a smile. He patted the dust off his body and looked at the 7 people with a smile. Xue Dezhu nodded in agreement. You too, it's a small world. Don't force us. Brother Gui looked at the 2 of them and shouted loudly. According to psychological analysis, you are shouting now because you are afraid. Also, you seem to have a trump card. According to a normal guess, you should have a decent weapon, Kong Fei said with a smile. Xue Dezhu smiled again and nodded. Go to hell. The 2 of you are looking for death. Let me tell you, if you dare to meddle in Yunxi County's business, you are looking for death. As he spoke, a Type 54 pistol appeared in Brother Gui's hand. He pointed it directly at Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei. I will kill the 2 of you first. We will slowly deal with the 3 people outside. That girl is so beautiful. We will not waste her. Go to hell. All these years, what I hate the most is people pointing guns at me. Kong Fei's face darkened. The moment Brother Gui pulled the trigger, the Type 54 pistol had changed hands. Chapter 247. Kong Fei narrowed his eyes and looked at Brother Ghost. The Type 54 pistol was already in his hand. Then, Brother Ghost's eyes widened. Kong Fei seemed to be performing magic. In a few seconds, the complete pistol had turned into a pile of parts. Dezhu, give me the phone, Kong Fei said with a smile. Xue Dezhu handed the phone that was still recording to Kong Fei. Kong Fei took a few pictures of the bullets in the phone and then took a picture of an inconspicuous place on the pistol. A moment later, a message came back from the phone. The Yunxi Line Security Bureau in Yuma City is really amazing. A few gangsters can actually get a gun from the County Public Security Bureau, Kong Fei said with a gloomy face. Although he had been in the T-Rex group, he knew a lot about the current situation in Huaxia. He had heard other brothers who carried out missions talk about gangs in various places. He didn't expect that it was really like what they said, and it was even worse. Brother, I advise the 2 of you. No matter where the 2 of you come from, it's better for the 2 of you not to get involved in the matters of Yunxi County. Brother Ghost lowered his head and said softly. Kong Fei's powerful combat power made them completely dumbfounded. However, it was impossible for Kong Fei to bring down the Xiang family in Yunxi County alone. Sorry, we will definitely take care of this matter, Shuedazhu said with a smile. In his mind, it seemed that there was nothing that Guopai couldn't handle. Wasn't it just a county party secretary? Hua Xia's Special Abilities Group was such a fierce organization that Guopai killed its leader. Why would he care about a county party secretary? Since you want to get involved in this mess, then do as you please. We brothers admit defeat this time. You can do whatever you want. If you want to fight or kill, if I, Li Sangue, beg for mercy again, I will change my surname to yours. Brother Ghost knew that he couldn't hide this time, so he simply pretended to be a tough guy. You guys go. We are here to find Wang Long. We don't want to do anything to you, Kong Fei said with a smile. He pulled up Wang Long, who was squatting in the corner, and walked to the barbecue stall with Shuedazhu again. It took a long time for Brother Ghost to come back to his senses. The few hooligans lying on the ground also stood up and looked at Brother Ghost, waiting for him to come up with an idea. Master Xiong, I am Little Ghost, the KTV manager. I used to work in the Public Security Bureau for a while. Brother Ghost thought for a while and called the boss of Summer Passion KTV, Shang Tianxiong. Agui, it's so late. What's the matter? On the top floor of the KTV, Shang Tianxiong went to his own office after coming out of the county party secretary's office. The twins were by his side, and he needed to vent his tension. The two girls were tortured by him. A few strangers came to Yunxi County today and asked about the 7 days' worth of money. They seemed to be quite concerned about it, Brother Ghost said softly. You fought with them? Shang Tianxiong was stunned. He took a sip of red wine and asked softly. 7 of us fought against 2 of them. We didn't win, and the guns were destroyed by them. Brother Ghost didn't hide anything and said, they may be people sent by the higher-ups. Okay, I got it. You guys go to the account later and take 10,000 yuan to check your injuries. Now, keep an eye on these people. Shang Tianxiong narrowed his eyes and said. Then, he dialed the phone number of Yunxi County's Public Security Bureau Chief, Xiang Liushi. What? The higher-ups sent people again? No, this matter has been suppressed. The higher-ups don't have so much free time. You don't have to worry about this. I will go and meet these people, Xiang Liushi said softly. After hanging up the phone, he changed into casual clothes and drove to the barbecue stall where Guopai and the others were eating. Why did you save me? Why didn't you let me die? Wang Long was brought to Guopai by Kong Fei and Shuedazhu. Wang Long shouted at Guopai. For the first time and also for the only time, I don't like your attitude. I know what you want to do, but I won't fall for it. Put away the little tricks in your heart. You want to play tricks with me? You are too inexperienced, Guopai said softly while eating the meat skewers. Among the 3 of them, there is your beloved. You must know everything about the KTV. Tell me if you don't want them to die without knowing why. Wang Long bit his lips and looked at the young man in front of him who was about the same age as him. He didn't know why, but there was a natural reverence in his heart. It was 100 times more reverence than Xiang Yu's group of young masters. Xiang Yu asked me to ask Little Yun and the others out. I didn't dare to refuse, but I didn't think that Xiang Yu and the others would do such a thing in the KTV. I am a coward, a complete coward. I watched Little Yun and the others being humiliated that day, and I didn't even dare to say a word. I am the one who harmed them, Wang Long said while crying. You are indeed a coward. No, you are also a bastard. If it wasn't for you, the 3 girls wouldn't have come out in the middle of the night. Didn't you dream of Little Yun looking for you recently? You looked at Wang Long with disdain and asked loudly. You, how do you know? I am sorry for Little Yun and the others. I am the one who harmed them. I know everything, but I don't dare to testify in court. I still remember the way Little Yun's mother looked at me. My life is over, Wang Long replied loudly. You withdraw your pressure. If you continue like this, he will go crazy. Guopai looked at the angry Yuer and said softly. At this time, an inconspicuous Santana stopped not far from the barbecue restaurant. Pring Dehai hurriedly walked to Guopai's side. That car belongs to Xiang Liushi, the director of the Public Security Bureau of Yunxi County, Xiang Xiangshan's brother. Little brothers, be careful. This guy is famous in Yunxi County for being a smiling tiger. He eats people without spitting out the bones. Pring Dehai finished speaking and greeted Xiang Liushi with a smile. Director Xiang, what brings you here? What do you want to eat? Just tell me, I will roast it for you. Do you want to eat something ready-made? Pring Dehai said with a smile. Dehai, don't talk about Director Xiang. I will sit here and eat with these few guests. This table is mine today. Give us some more roast meat. Xiang Liushi said as he moved a stool and sat next to Guopai. You came to our Yunxi County but didn't come in time. I will punish myself with a cup. Xiang Liushi said as he picked up the white wine on the table and drank it directly. Are you going to visit our Yunxi County or are you just passing by? If you are going to stay for a few days, I will find you a few tour guides and bodyguards tomorrow. Yunxi County has been a bit chaotic recently. Xiang Liushi finished speaking and drank the second cup of white wine. Enjoy your meal. I still have things to do, so I will leave first. Dehai, calculate how much this table is. Xiang Liushi finished his third cup of white wine and stood up. He handed 1,000 yuan to Pring Dehai and walked into the car without looking back. Then, he stepped on the accelerator and the car disappeared. Pring Dehai was stunned. Xiang Liushi said 3 sentences at the table and drank 3 cups of white wine. Guopai didn't even look at him. No matter what, Xiang Liushi was completely defeated in terms of momentum. A smiling tiger. He is a ruthless character. Guopai said softly. No, I have to go find my big brother. These guys are not easy to deal with. Xiang Liushi, who was scared by Guopai, thought for a while. Then, he turned the car around and drove to Xiang Xiangshan's house in the county committee's courtyard. Chapter 248. Kong Fei looked at the departing Xiang Liushi. The crows in the world are all black. According to common sense, tonight was destined to be a bad night. Kong Fei smiled and told Guopao about his past experiences. Guopao nodded gently. Different situations call for different actions. Let's just go with the flow. Brother Hai, since someone has paid for this table, we won't pay for it. Leave this place for us tomorrow. We'll come back tomorrow. Guopai smiled and pulled Yuer. The 5 people walked back to the hotel together. Boss, if I were you, I wouldn't let this guy go. Letting the tiger return to the mountain and leave behind future troubles is a big taboo in Jianghu. Guotongyuan whispered. Tongyuan, don't you realize that it's more interesting to let him go? Otherwise, it's too boring. You go somewhere else with Yuer. I'll stay here with Kong Fei and Deju. Guopai said with a smile. Guotongyuan thought for a moment, and the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smirk. I'll stay too. Boss, let me stay. I'll absolutely obey your orders. Guotongyuan said with a trace of expectation. At any rate, I'm staying behind. Since it's such a fun thing, I have to stay behind. Furthermore, there's so much resentment here. You can't just take all the merit for yourself, Yuer said with a mischievous grin. Guopai looked at the two and shook his head helplessly. Let them stay. This small Yunxi County can't cause any trouble. Xiang Liushi didn't dare to delay at all. He drove directly to Xiang Xiangshan's house. Second uncle, it's so late. Why are you here? Xiang Yu was about to leave the house when he met Xiang Liushi. It's all because of you. Come in. What are you going to do out so late? What are you going to do? Xiang Liushi looked at his nephew and said loudly. Uncle, what are you talking about? What can I do? Those 3 women are really too much. We just drank a little wine together. We didn't do anything, but they were so desperate. Xiang Yu said with a smile. Xiang Liushi grabbed Xiang Yu's arm and directly pulled him into the Xiang family's house. Liushi, it's so late. Why are you here? Xiao Yu, didn't I tell you to stay at home and not go anywhere? Where are you going? A middle-aged woman looked at them and asked. She was Xiang Yu's mother, Qin Yurong. To be honest, she was the last person in Yunxi County to be offended. Qin Haotian, Qin Yurong's father, was the commander of the Northwest Military Region and a well-known figure in the military circle. Liushi, you're back. Come in and talk. Xiang Xiangshan said with a smile. But after a moment, he felt that his younger brother's expression was a little strange, and a trace of waves suddenly rose in his heart. Yurong, keep an eye on Xiao Yu. If he goes out again, I'll break his legs. Tell Dad to send someone to bring Xiao Yu to his place tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. I'm not going. What's so good about the army? It's just a bunch of men. Xiang Yu still wanted to say something, but Qin Yurong directly pulled her into the room. How many of them were sent by the higher-ups? Xiang Xiangshan asked in a low voice. I don't think so. But one of them was from the army and the other one was a boy. I can't see through him, but I'm sure he's a tough guy, and he's going to take care of this matter. Xiang Liushi said in a low voice. I saw their photos. The man from the army you mentioned is this big guy, right? Xiang Xiangshan took out his mobile phone, on which there was a photo of Guo Pai and the other 4 people eating. I've asked the military region to investigate this big guy's identity. They should get back to me soon. As for the boy you mentioned, he seems to be a doctor in a medical center in Wu Castle. According to the letter from Wu Castle, this boy is quite popular. Xiang Liushi nodded slightly. Now he needed to wait for the letter from the military region to find out the background of this big guy. Secretary Xiang, Commander Qin asked me to tell you not to provoke the soldier in the photo. You can't afford to offend him. A low voice on the other side of the phone said. They did find Kong Fei's file, but there were 4 S-level soldiers. Except for the number 1 chief, no one could see Kong Fei's file. Is he a big shot? Xiang Xiangshan continued to ask. Commander Qin doesn't have enough authority. There's only one possibility for such a file. He's Violent Dragon's man. Secretary Xiang, take care of yourself. After that, the military line hung up, and the 2 brothers of the Xiang family looked worse. Brother, what should we do? Xiang Liushi lit a cigarette and asked in a low voice. Do it cleanly. Even if Violent Dragon comes, our Yunxi County will have to lie on the ground. Xiang Xiangshan said with a gloomy face, gather all the special police in Yunxi County and catch all these escaped terrorists. Xiang Liushi nodded heavily and then made several phone calls. After a while, the whole Yunxi County was alarmed. The biggest anti-terrorist operation in Yunxi County began, and the target was the hotel where Guo Pai and the others were staying. Master Scoundrel, that's quite a commotion. Snipers have already gone up to the vantage points over there, Kong Fei said with a smile as he walked around the corridor and saw Guo Scoundrel's calm face. So many people have been sent. They must have defined us as terrorists. Guo Pai said with a smile, I don't want to hurt those soldiers. Kong Fei, do you have any good ideas? Good ideas? Mr. Bad, you seem to be the commander of the 531 Army. Do you have your officer's certificate? Take it out and let me use it. Let's talk about it after these people in the army leave. Kong Fei said with a smile. Guo Pai took out a small red booklet and handed it to Kong Fei. After a while, all the lights in the corridor suddenly went out and Kong Fei disappeared from the corridor on the 3rd floor. Battalion Commander, that guy surnamed Xiang made such a big fuss. Our military exercise has been postponed. What is he trying to do? A big man asked softly to another man who was even fiercer than him. Who knows? The higher-ups just called and said to cooperate with the Yunxi County Public Security to carry out the mission and kill terrorists. If there are terrorists in Yunxi County, they must be Xiang's family. I don't know who this guy is trying to trick this time. The Northwest Military Region's Special Forces, who were carrying out the military exercise in Yuma City, were transferred to Yunshi County with a phone call. No one, from the battalion commander to the soldiers, knew what was going on. Don't move and don't talk. I'm Kong Fei from the T-Rex group. Please cooperate with me, Battalion Commander Ma. A voice suddenly sounded in their ears. Battalion Commander Ma wanted to reach for his gun, but it was already taken by Kong Fei. T-Rex group? Even your T-Rex group is mobilized. Why are we still here? Battalion Commander Ma Jie asked with a trace of doubt. They were the strongest soldiers in the Northwest Military Region. When it came to the Northwest Military Region's Special Forces, Huaxia was also a group of strong people. However, compared to the T-Rex group, they were nothing. Battalion Commander Ma, don't get too excited. Take a look at this first, Kong Fei said as he placed his ID and Guopai's military ID in front of Ma Jie. Division Commander Guopai? Is he the new division commander that 531 recently got? The division commander who made 531 strength increase by a huge margin? Lieutenant Colonel Light, yes, Division Commander Guopai. However, he is the terrorist that you are trying to kill. I suggest that Battalion Commander Ma send a message to the higher-up. You don't want to be the scapegoat. This is going to be a big scapegoat, Kong Fei said with a smile. What? You're saying that the person we are cooperating with the Yunshi County Public Security to kill is Guopai? How is that possible? Guopai can't be a terrorist. Ma Jie shook his head like a rattledrum. Chapter 249. Yes, I understand. Ma Jie nodded vigorously. Kong Fei did not know who was on the other end of the phone, but he could sense that the person was of high status. Brother Kong Fei, Commander Lu of the Northwest Military Region, asked me to listen to Commander Guo's orders. Just tell us what you need us to do, Ma Jie said with a smile. Kong Fei also laughed. It seemed that he had underestimated Guo Pao's power. What was even more unexpected was that Ma Jie's phone call had messed up the entire Huaxia military region. A group of senior officers who had already fallen asleep woke up one by one. If something happened to Guopai in Yunshi County, it would be a slap to the 531 Army, the Imperial Capital Military Region, and the entire Huaxia military region. Qin Yunshan of the Northwest Military Region did something that he would regret for the rest of his life. Until today, he finally knew that he had married his daughter to Xiang Xiangshan, but his daughter had given birth to a bastard with the surname Xiang. He was famous for being protective of his own people, but he did not expect this incident to be so serious. Lao Qin, we have worked together for 53 years, right? Lu Dachuan, the commander of the Northwest Military Region, called Qin Yunshan to his office in the middle of the night. Qin Yunshan naturally knew why Lu Dachuan asked him to come here. One was the commander, the other was the deputy commander. The two of them had been brothers for decades. Old Lu, I did not expect Xiao Yu to make such a big mistake this time. I will not participate in this incident. No matter how you deal with it, I will obey. Qin Yunshan shook his head and said, I have already informed the people in the Special Forces. The higher-ups have given an order to remove the Xiang family from Yunshi County, Lu Dachuan said softly. Lao Qin, I understand. I will not leave this room until everything is settled. As he spoke, Qin Yunshan took out his phone and gently placed it on the table. Lu Dachuan nodded and walked out. Qin Yunshan closed his eyes. I am Ma Jie of the Special Forces. I want to see your director Xiang. Ma Jie stood outside a command vehicle and said loudly. The two deputy directors respectfully invited Mason into the command vehicle. Battalion Commander Ma, if your men are ready, then hurry up and take care of those bastards, Xiang Liushi said to Ma Jie with a smile. Director Xiang, we can't rush this. If the people inside are terrorists, I'm afraid they might have weapons of mass destruction. Innocent people will be harmed. Let's disperse the crowd first, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said softly. Commander Ma, I've seen the strength of the snipers in our special forces. There are 5 of them. We can just kill them with a sniper rifle. No matter what kind of weapons we have, it's useless if no one uses them. Don't you think so? A deputy director beside Xiang Liushi said with a smile. He had been tossed around in the middle of the night. Xiang Liushi had just told him the purpose of this operation, so he naturally hoped to get it done quickly. There's no hurry. I just heard something about Chief Xiang's nephew, so I came to verify it with him. Lieutenant Colonel Mason sat down opposite Xiang Liushi with a smile. Xiang Liushi suddenly had a bad feeling. What are you talking about, Commander Ma? There have been some rumors about Xiao Yu in Yunxi County recently. He is Commander Qin's grandson. This kid has been following some bad examples. Secretary Xiang has already sent him to the detention center. However, we can't believe all the rumors in Yunxi County, Xiang Liushi said with a smile. He took the lead in raping 3 pretty girls and forcing 3 high school students to their death. I'm afraid it's not enough to send him to the detention center, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said with a smile. Xiang Liushi put his hand on the pistol at his waist. Xiang Liushi, put your hands in front of you. And you too, behave yourselves. I can tell you that if you do anything that makes my men think you've crossed the line, you will be shot dead, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said with narrowed eyes. You're the local tyrants of Yunxi County. You've crossed the line. Lieutenant Colonel Mason, I don't know what you're talking about. Are you not going to listen to Commander Qin? Xiang Liushi questioned loudly. Tell your men to leave. We've been busy for a long time. It's time for the public security system in Yunxi County to be cleaned up, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said softly. You're just a battalion commander. You don't have that much power. Lu Jiang, bring your men to the command car. Before the last word could be uttered, a dark trajectory appeared between the deputy director's eyebrows. He was as dead as a doornail. Lieutenant Colonel Mason, who gave you the courage to order your men to shoot public officials? You've seriously violated the law of Huaxia. You're a soldier. You'll be court-martialed for this, Xiang Liushi said excitedly. Then he heard a commotion outside the command car. However, it was quiet after a while. Don't you think it's ridiculous that you're talking about the law with me? Do you have any idea who you want us to kill today? Asterisk, 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 asterisk? Do you think the commander of the 531 Battalion is a criminal? Lieutenant Colonel Mason put Guopai's military officer ID in front of Xiang Liushi. You'll know tomorrow whether I'm guilty or you're guilty. The people of Yunxi County will sentence you and everyone related to you, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said loudly. Guo nodded in satisfaction as he watched TV while drinking wine in the hotel. Everything Ma Jie said was beneficial to him. The battalion commander of the special forces was not bad at all. Boss, I thought we'd have to fight a bunch of people outside. I didn't expect you to solve it this way. Boring, really boring. Guo Yuan drank a mouthful of wine and said while shaking his head. We're just dealing with some trivial matters today. That soul won't leave. Tong Yuan, if you want some excitement, you can go and help her. It'll be a great merit. Guo Yuan said with a smile. Guo Yuan shrank his head back. A vengeful spirit could not enter the cycle of reincarnation or go to hell for 7 days after death. Even the ghost soldiers and ghost generals could not do anything to her. Guo Pai and Yura laughed when they saw Guo Tongyuan's expression. Kong Fei, I'll leave everything outside to you. Take Dazhu and see the world. Lieutenant Colonel Mason is a good guy. Give this to him. I'm going to sleep. Guo Pai pulled Yu to her feet and walked straight into the bedroom. You're so mean. After Kong Fei finished speaking, he pulled Xue Dezhu out. Guo Tongyuan had nothing to do, so he followed them out. Battalion commander, we've got all the special forces under control. The Northwest Military Region has also sent people to take over the security of Yunxi County. There's no problem, a soldier ran up to Lieutenant Colonel Mason and said. Lu Song, take your men to the Summer Passion KTV. Make sure no one escapes. Also, ask Zhu Qing to piece together the video fragment. We'll need them tomorrow, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said. Brother Mason, I don't think I'm under your command. It's not easy to recover the footage, but I did manage to get a phone call. I think you'll be interested, a beautiful woman said with a smile. A good-looking woman said with a smile. She was the company commander of the Northwest Military Region's Information Company, Zhu Qing. Little Qing, you're going to make a great contribution again, Lieutenant Colonel Mason said with a smile. Chapter 250. Don't talk to me about meritorious service. If you don't give me something practical, I won't care about Yunxi County anymore, Zhu Qing said loudly. Sister, are you trying to make things difficult for me? I'm just a small fry. I don't think you'll be interested in my stuff, Ma Jie said helplessly. He knew his sister well. She would never help him if she said she would. Sister, don't make things difficult for Brother Ma. What do you want? I'll give it to you, Kong Fei said when he saw Zhu Qing arguing with Ma Jie. You? Who are you? Do you have what I want? Zhu Qing said loudly without turning her head. If there is, give me a strong man first, a man who can at least beat up Battalion Commander Ma of the Special Forces. Ahem, beauty, if you really need a strong man, I think Brother Kong would be your best choice, Shwedaju said softly. Zhu Qing turned her head abruptly and saw Kong Fei and Shwedaju. What kind of man have I not seen before? Don't tell me he's just good-looking but useless? Zhu Qing said with a pout. However, there was something special about Kong Fei that made her heart beat faster. Little Qing, let me introduce you. This is Kong Fei from the T-Rex Group. Brother, this girl is the head of the information company in the Northwest Military Region. Her computer skills are the best in the Northwest Military Region, Ma Jie said with a thumbs up. T-Rex Group? The Tyrannosaurus Rex, the most mysterious group in Huaxia, whose combat power completely surpasses your special forces by 100 streets? Zhu Qing asked with her eyes wide open. Ma Jie was speechless. What do you mean by much stronger than our special forces? Hello, may I know what you need to help us? You can tell us, Kong Fei said to Zhu Qing with a smile. Ahem, nice to meet you. My name is Zhu Qing. I'm the head of the information company in the Northwest Military Region. I'm going to be promoted to a battalion commander soon. It's my honor to work with the T-Rex Group. I don't need anything. I just want to get to know you. Zhu Qing's voice was getting softer and softer. Her face was burning. Brother Fei, Company Commander Zhu has already made his stance clear. You should hurry up, Shwedaju said with a smile. During this period of time with Guopai, no one knew how many other skills he had learned, but Shwedaju had learned a lot from observing this girl's skills. Company Commander Zhu, I'm no longer a member of the Tyrannosaurus group. The reason I'm asking for your help this time is purely a personal request. How about this? Since you're too embarrassed to ask for anything, I'll give you this pill. Don't take it yet. Let me ask boss if girls can use it. But this thing is definitely something good. Kong Fei gave Zhu Qing the things that Guopai asked him to give to Ma Jie. Anyway, they were all from the Northwest Military Region. It didn't matter who he gave it to. Xiao Qing, quickly accept it. If you don't want it, you can give it to me. I'll give you the Golden Desert Eagle that I won from last year's International Special Forces competition in exchange. If not, I'll give you the Golden Alaska from last year as well. Accept it first. Ma Jie said excitedly. Others might not know, but he knew that the strength of 531's members had increased by a large margin. It seemed that they had eaten some kind of medicinal pill. Are you looking down on me? I already said that I'm willing to help you. Zhu Qing said softly with a red face. Kong Fei laughed foolishly. Ma Jie's eyes widened. Was this Zhu Qing still the fearless Zhu Qing from the Northwest Military Region, who could make the commander lose a layer of skin? If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you first. After this is done, I'll take you to see my boss and ask him to give you something useful, Kong Fei said with a smile. You can just call me Xiao Qing. I don't think I'm older than you. Zhu Qing said with a red face. What are you looking at, little henchman? I'll give you a chance to make a contribution. Listen to this conversation. Go and find the boss of Summer's Passion. I'm sure you have many ways to make him hand over the video. After you hand it over, bring it to me and I'll deal with it. Xiao Qing, your brother and I are good friends. Can you not call me a henchman in front of outsiders? Ma Jie said with a dark expression. However, Kong Fei's action made the 2-meter-tall man excited. Since little Qing doesn't want this pill, give it to Battalion Commander Ma. Master Bad wants me to thank you for your help this time. As he spoke, Kong Fei handed over the pill that he had prepared for Ma Jie. Tell Division Commander Guopai that if he needs me, just tell him directly. There's no need to thank me. I'm going to get back to work, Ma Jie said as he drove toward Summer's Passion. Brother Fei, is the Guo scoundrel you're talking about the owner of the Bu Medical Hall? Zhu Qing asked in a low voice. Sister Qing, you know our boss too? Shuedazhu said before Kong Fei could say anything. It's really him? Where is he? Can you take me to see him? He's my idol. And that youth-retaining pill? Do you still have it? Can you get me one? It's a pity that I don't have the money. However, if you can give me a youth-retaining pill, you can come to me directly if you need anything related to computers. Let's not talk about Huaxia. I can even find a way to investigate the Pentagon, Zhu Qing said as she raised her head. When I'm done, I'll take you to see our boss. Kong Fei said with a smile. Zhu Qing's smile was like a flower. Kong Fei and Shuedazhu's eyes widened. Their boss was indeed the boss. Even people thousands of miles away worshipped him. Thank you, Brother Fei. No wonder you left the T-Rex group to follow Guopai. I'll apply for demobilization when I return to the military region. I'll come to you then, Zhu Qing said softly. Shuedazhu's eyes widened. This good-looking woman in front of him was so fierce. She was confessing to Brother Fei directly. Ahem, little Qing, you should think about some things carefully. Don't do anything irrational. Kong Fei also understood what Zhu Qing meant and said in a low voice. What's wrong? Do you have a wife? I just checked your information. You're single. You don't have anyone at home. You can take me to see your grandma in a few days. You can also come home with me. You don't have to worry about my family. I have the final say in my family. What's wrong? What's the meaning of your expression? Do you think I'm not good enough for you? Zhu Qing was like a machine gun. A series of words stunned Kong Fei. No, we just met for the first time. Do you think I'm a good person? Kong Fei said with a red face. Good person? You're not a good person. All these years, you've been carrying out missions in the T-Rex group. The number of lives you've taken has already exceeded 2-digit. Also, because of some disguises, you've been to those places. But if you dare to go there again in the future, I'll teach you a lesson. Zhu Qing said loudly, Of course, if you have any needs, just come to me directly. I'll satisfy you. Kong Fei's eyes widened. Shuedazhu rubbed his eyes hard. This woman in front of him was too fierce. However, 6 words still appeared in his mind unconsciously. Brother Fei's spring is here. Chapter 252. Ma Jie was very efficient. In less than 10 minutes, not only had Shang Tianxiong been caught, but the person Shang Tianxiong had contacted through the phone, Xiao Shan, had also failed to escape from Yunxi County. The video of him killing 3 female students surfaced. Damn it, I'm so pissed off. These scumbags, why are we still being nice to them? Kill them with machine guns. No, we're letting them off too easily. Hand them over to the special forces and give them all the torture methods you use to interrogate criminals. If they don't finish the torture, they'll die. Henchman, you don't have to work in the special forces anymore, Zhu Qing said angrily after watching the video. Ma Jie looked at Kong Fei for help. Shao Qing, do what I need first. I'll take care of these people. None of them can escape, Kong Fei said softly. Zhu Qing nodded firmly. Zhu Qing was very professional. In about an hour, she cut the video into several segments according to Guo Pai's request. Of course, they didn't just get one segment of the video after capturing Shang Tianxiong. They got so much that Ma Jie and the others were shocked. They couldn't imagine that in a small county like Yunxi County, these bureau chief and county magistrate dared to disregard the law and treat people's lives like grass. Brother Hai, I didn't ask you to come here for any other reason. I just want you to help me find out who these people are. You've been in Yunxi County for more than 20 years. You should know these people, right? Xue Dezhu asked Peng Dehai to come over. Segments of the video started to become clearer. Peng Dehai clenched his fists tightly with a hint of anger and excitement. Could Yunxi County really see the light of day again? Dehai, why did they ask you to come over? You're not talking nonsense, right? No matter who they are, we've seen the King of Hell before. You're not talking nonsense, right? Peng Dehai's wife asked nervously when he returned home. Wife, I'm going to grill some meat skewers. We haven't had a drink for a long time. Let's drink some today. The weather in Yunxi County is going to change tomorrow, Peng Dehai said excitedly. This made his wife even more confused. I know about the weather. I've seen the weather forecast. It says it's going to rain tomorrow, Peng Dehai's wife said softly. Dehai, you just need to make sure that we're fine. I don't care about anything else. Wife, don't worry. Tomorrow, those leaders of Yunxi County will settle the debt with us. Peng Dehai, didn't misjudge them. Haha. As Peng Dehai spoke, he chuckled and went to grill the meat skewers. In the Xiang family's mansion, Xiang Xiangshan was drinking tea. According to his estimation, his elder brother should have arrived by now. Why was there no news at all? He made a few calls, but Xiang Liushi didn't pick up. There. And, you. Yurong, Big Brother is not the kind of person you described him to be. It seems that he has met a tough nut this time. These outsiders are not simple. Go to sleep first. Tomorrow, try to contact Dad and send Xiao Yu to the Northwest Military Region for a period of time to settle down. If this continues, something will happen sooner or later. I'll go and see what's going on. After saying that, Xiangshan changed his clothes and walked straight out of the Xiang family's courtyard. The big fish is out. The big fish is out. Ma Jie's voice came from his walkie-talkie. Take them down. Bring them here. There's no need to explain anything to him. You can use force if necessary, Ma Jie said loudly. If he hadn't seen the videos, he might have been more polite to the leader of Yunxi County. Now, he was being polite? There was no need for that. Xiang Luiyue was taken away by several people from the Northwest Military Region before Xiang Xiangshan could find Xiang Luiyue. He knew that things had gotten out of hand. At 1:00 in the evening, Qin Yurong woke up and found that her husband was not back yet. His phone was turned off. She had a bad feeling. She called her father and her husband, but no one answered. There might be a reason why Xiang Xiangshan could not answer, but it was impossible that Qin Yunshan's phone was not answered. A military region commander's phone was not answered, which made Qin Yurong very nervous. Old Gao, is Xiangshan with you? He said he was on a mission today. He went out to find Liushi and didn't come back. I can't get through to him either. Qin Yurong waited until 2:00 in the morning, but still could not get through to Xiang Xiangshan. She had no choice but to call several county heads and deputy county heads of Yunxi County. In the middle of the night, the entire Yunxi County was in chaos. Don't worry, sister-in-law. I'll call and ask. The secretary is not a child. Besides, I'm going to find Director Xiang. Have they finished their work and gone to have dinner? I'll call and ask about the restaurant where we often eat. Gao Qinyun, the county head of Yunxi County, hung up the phone. He did not call any restaurant at all. Instead, he directly called several of his trusted aides, the director of the Yunxi County Tax Bureau, the director of the Department of Justice, and the director of the Environmental Protection Bureau. After they talked on the phone, they vaguely felt that something was wrong. If the higher-ups really send people to investigate the matter in Yunxi County, push all the responsibility to the Xiang family. Remember. Gao Qinyun was not too nervous. Instead, he hung up the phone with a trace of pride. At this time, he had been blinded by the position he had been waiting for several years. He only saw the various evil deeds that Xiang Xiangshan had committed in Yunxi County over the years, but he was not much better than Xiang Xiangshan. In Yunxi County, after a sleepless night, the sky was still gloomy the next day. The air in Yunxi County was worse than before. What made people feel even more uncomfortable was that there seemed to be something mixed in the weather today. Boss, the things you asked us to do have been done. The people from the television station are outside. Xiao Qing has already contacted the Northwest Military Region. We can use special means to answer the phone calls of everyone in Yunxi County at any time. Those who have the internet can directly synchronize the video on the internet. Kong Fei said softly when he saw Guopai, who had woken up at some point in time and had not slept all night, just like him. Let's go to the square together. Bring all the people who are ready to run to the square. Bring all the people who haven't run to the square as well. If anything happens, it's all on me, Guopai said loudly. At midnight last night, Guopai called Li Dafu in the Imperial City. Although Li Dafu had been paying attention to Guopai, he still felt a little surprised when he received a call from Guopai at night. Uncle Li, it's not a big deal. I just passed by Yunxi County and saw some of the dark side of your officialdom. I want to take care of it. I know you can't control Yunxi County. You can send a message to your boss. I want to take care of this matter. Guopai said very strongly. Li Dafu immediately dialed the number of the big boss, Hua Xia. The other party only said one sentence. He could do whatever he wanted and would fully cooperate with him if he needed any resources. At this time, Li Dafu realized that he had underestimated Guopai's ability. At the very least, he had underestimated Guopai's position in the big boss heart. I know. It seems that Hua Xia still has some good officials. Tell the big boss that I won't do such a thing a second time. It's time for him to manage some people properly. Don't always think that it has nothing to do with him. After saying that, Guopai hung up the phone. At 8:00 sharp this morning, I hope you can turn on the TV or come to Yunxi People's Square. You are needed here. Yunxi needs you. At 6:00 in the morning, the same text message was sent to all the people of Yunxi County. It was sent 3 times. Some people woke up from their sleep. At first, they thought that it was a joke. However, the moment they turned on the TV, everyone was stunned. All the channels were broadcasting the same thing. A line of bright red words appeared on the TV. The trial of the masses. Turn on the TV quickly. I'm going to Yunxi People's Square. Yunxi County is finally going to see the light of day again. The brief description on the television allowed more and more people to know what had happened in Yunxi County. Many people began to walk towards the square. In less than 10 minutes, the square was filled with people. Even the buildings around the square were filled with people. Yunxi County was in an uproar. Chapter 253. At the end of the first video, Xiang Xiangshan's face was ashen. He later found out that his son had forced 3 female students to their death. Then, he began to compensate the 3 families of the female students. However, he didn't see this video. He only felt that he deserved to die. Everyone involved in this matter deserved to die. Secretary Xiang, are you crying? Do you have some awareness? It's rare for you to have such a trace of purity in your heart. But let us see your true nature. After Guo Pai finished speaking, the second video was played. The big cases of Yunxi County were dug up one by one. Yunxi County's king of hell, Xiang Xiangshan, was worthy of his name. Kill these dog officials. We must kill them. The crowd shouted loudly. The other people standing on the stage with Xiang Xiangshan began to look at the Xiang brothers with disdain. The king of hell of Yunxi County was really not ordinary. Fortunately, they were standing in the right place. Otherwise, they might have been tied to a stone and sunk into the moat like some other people. Director Gao, I'll leave this matter to you. You can be sentenced, but it can't be more than 3 years. In a small private room, although it was dark, the two sides of the conversation could be seen. The director of the court, Gao Hongjun, the director of the tax bureau, Li Dongxing, and a few businessmen. Director Li, don't worry. The maximum sentence is 3 years, but we can guarantee that they will be released in 1 year. Don't worry. A few people clinked their glasses and drank the wine that cost more than 10,000 yuan. I know what this is. 3 years ago, Huaxing would close down. You know that they declared bankruptcy. This man is the boss of Huaxing Wood. At that time, he raised more than 200 million yuan in our county and declared bankruptcy. Our hard-earned money didn't come back. Later, the boss of Huaxing Wood was sentenced and the case was left unsettled. A middle-aged man said loudly. The people around also recognized who these people were. After a long time, it was the cooperation of the government and the businessmen who ruthlessly slaughtered the people of Yunxi County. Clean this place up. Reporter, what's so great about reporters? They refused a toast only to drink a forfeit. They don't even want money. Why do they want their lives? The director and deputy director of the Environmental Protection Bureau were on the top floor of the KTV. The two of them directly strangled the reporter from the capital. Later, the report seemed to be that the reporter had sex with a young lady in the KTV. He didn't pay and was killed by the young lady's boyfriend. What a melodramatic plot. Director Zhang, it's just a small matter. That child of mine will be graduating this year. I'll need Chief Zhang's guidance in the future. Li Wanfa, the boss of Yunxi County's Wanfa Company, handed a heavy craft paper bag to Director Zhang of the county's Bureau of Land and Resources. Old Li, I've seen your son's interview results. He came in 4th place. Whether he can get in or not is still a problem. Let's go back and study it. Director Zhang walked out of the room with the craft paper bag. Li Wanfa was proud of himself. Haha, what a joke. Back then, I got 1st place in the written exam and my interview performance was perfect. How could I lose to the son of such a person? Competing with one's father? Is that the only way? A young man holding a briefcase shook his head and received it. Lu Shangze, right? Division Commander Guo asked you not to leave. He has something to tell you later. When Lu Shangze was about to turn around and leave, he was stopped by a soldier who smiled at him. Lu Shangze was stunned, but he still obediently followed the soldier into a tent that had just been set up not long ago. Following that, nearly 100 videos were played. Most of them were from the Summer Passion KTV. There were all kinds of violations and violations of the law. Yunxi County was under strict lockdown. People who surrendered were dealt with leniently. As for those who escaped, how could they let you escape? More than 10,000 soldiers from the Northwest Military Region came. Did you think they were easy to deal with? Division Commander Guo, thank you for your contribution to Yunxi County. They have to confess even if they don't want to. Yunxi County's county magistrate, Gao Qinyun, looked at Guo Pai and said, Today, not only were the people of Yunxi County comfortable, he was also very comfortable as the county magistrate. The Xiang family had been taken down, and most of the people who stood with the Xiang family had also been taken down. His good days were finally coming. Brother, this is Yunxi County's county magistrate, Gao Qinyun. Ma Jie had been in contact with Gao Qingyun since yesterday. He felt that this Gao Qingyun was not bad. Although he had some ulterior motives, he didn't seem like an evil person. "Oh, it's County Magistrate Gao. You come over and get to know the County Magistrate," Guopai said with a smile. You walked over quickly. Gao Qingyun looked at Yu and was immediately attracted by Yu's beauty. Such beauty could only be found in heaven. County Magistrate Gao, look. There are so many corrupt officials in Yunxi County. Are you a good official? Yu asked with a smile. There was a trace of purple light in her eyes that was hard to detect. Then Gao Qingyun was stunned. Division Commander Guo, give me the microphone. I have something to say. Gao Qingyun didn't care if Guopai agreed or not. He grabbed the microphone and stood on the stage. My name is Gao Qingyun. I have sinned. As he spoke, Gao Qingyun directly knelt on the stage that was temporarily built in the square. I have sinned. When I first came to Yunxi County, I raped a waiter in the guest house. Later, I spent some money and nothing was done. When I was working in Yunxi County, I destroyed many reports. Otherwise, the problems in Yunxi County would have been exposed long ago. As I became an official, my ambition grew. I needed money, I needed power, and I also needed women. Of course, with the first two, the last one would be easy to deal with. Gao Qingshan recounted the evil deeds he had committed recently as if he was telling a story. The people in the square widened their eyes. This was the only pure land left in Yunxi County in their hearts, but they did not expect it to be so dirty. In the end, the Xiang brothers, their two good sons, the father and son of the Gao family, and the officials of Yunxi County who had killed people were all executed. The higher-ups were very considerate. They were afraid that there would be problems in Yunxi County, so they directly transferred the county magistrate and county secretary of the neighboring county to manage the county for a period of time. Guopai glanced at the county secretary and county magistrate of the neighboring county. Both of them were soaked in sweat. Guopai shook his head helplessly. He hoped that they could be executed as a warning to others. All the people who were executed were taken away by the special forces of the Northwest Military Region. Ma Jie gritted his teeth as he looked at these people. He had come from a village to the army step by step. He didn't expect the parents and officials of the people to be like this. Ma Jie bade farewell to Guopai and personally escorted all the people to the execution ground. Guopai looked at the crowd in the square, who refused to leave for a long time, and stood on the platform again. Today is a day worth celebrating in Yunxi County. I hope that everyone can cheer up. The future of Yunxi County will be beautiful. I, Guopai, can come to Yunxi County for the first time, and I can come again. I hope that when I come to Yunxi County next time, I can see everyone happy. Guopai said loudly. I hope that everyone can leave in an orderly manner. After 6 o'clock tonight, the speech of Secretary Jiang of the neighboring county will be broadcasted directly on TV. I think Secretary Jiang will arrange the work in Yunxi County well. At this time, the people in the square remembered again that it was the young man on the screen in front of them who brought a new tomorrow to Yunxi County. Suddenly, a strong power of merit silently entered Guopai's body. However, Guopai was still worried about one thing: how to deal with Xiao Yunyun's wronged soul. If the wronged soul didn't disperse, it would be difficult to deal with it when the black and white impermanence of hell came. Chapter 254. Brother Bad Guy, I did a good job just now, didn't I? Yu looked at Guopai and whispered. Just now, Yu had indeed contributed a lot to Gao Qingshan's confession of all his past crimes. Of course. What kind of person is my wife? Today's matter is all thanks to you. Guopai said with a smile. Yu help the Buddha to the west. Look at the vengeful spirit in the sky and see if there's any way. I remember that the great shaman had many ways to steal the sky and change the sun to deceive the ghost soldiers. When Yu heard Guopai's words, she frowned. When she followed Sister Chang-yi back then, she did a lot of such things. Back then, in order to save some descendants of the great shaman, she often played hide-and-seek with the ghost soldiers of the underworld. However, when she followed her sister in the past, most of the things were done by her sister. What kind of strength did her sister have? The power of the 13th layer. Even if she went to the underworld personally, the king of hell wouldn't dare to say anything. Difficult? Guopai looked at Yu and asked softly. If there was really no way, he could only give up. He also knew that if he couldn't control the vengeful spirit well, if there was any trouble caused by this vengeful spirit in the future, it would be his problem. I only have a little bit of magic power left, but now there are many ghost soldiers of the great shaman generation. I'll think of a way to make a substitute doll later. Whether it can avoid the ghost soldiers, I'm not sure. Yu said softly. Guopai nodded gently, safety first. You must be careful. Yu nodded, took the Laojuan's gourd from Guopai, and walked into the tent. Guopai wanted to follow, but Yu refused. Guopai had also heard of substitute dolls before. Only one person could do it. There were fewer and fewer people in the square. Yunshi County was like a pool of stagnant water that had been silent for a long time. Everyone threw a big stone into it and it suddenly boiled up. Basically, all the hotels and restaurants were full. The entire Yunshi County was like a festival. Yu busied herself in the tent for about half an hour. She walked out with a pale face. Guopai hurriedly ran over to Yu. A doll that looked similar to the one in the air appeared in Yu's hand. Yu is so silly. If you need Senior Magi's blood, Kong Fei and Deju can do it. Why do you need to use your own blood? Guopai said with a trace of heartache. The vengeful spirit is a woman. Using their blood essence won't fool the ghost soldiers. Yu said softly, Brother bad guy, in a while, you set up a formation to lure the ghost soldiers first. I will use the substitute doll. You suck the vengeful spirit into the gourd as soon as possible. I hope she can cooperate. If she doesn't, we can only let the ghost soldiers take her away. Her resentment is no longer enough to deter the ghost soldiers. Guopai nodded gently. He knew the formation Yu mentioned. It was the real false yin-yang formation, which could make the ghost soldiers temporarily unable to distinguish the real from the fake. They only had 3 breaths of time. After another half an hour, Guopai placed 9 pieces of jade the size of a child's fist in a place with extreme negative energy in the square. Then he called Kong Fei and Shui Deju over. He didn't use their blood essence, but used their blood to draw a few talisman diagrams on the ground. A trace of elusive aura appeared above the 9 pieces of jade. You two stay where you are. Don't look. Not only will you make a mistake, but I won't be able to cure you if you are hurt. Guopai drove the 2 away. Of course, it was also for their sake. If Xiao Yunyun's vengeful spirit suddenly went crazy, the 2 guys in the enlightening period couldn't stop it at all. After doing all this, Guopai looked up at Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit, who was wandering in the air. Perhaps because she had been wronged, her resentment was not so great. After all, those who should be punished had been punished accordingly. But thinking that she was only 17 years old, and the good time had just begun, she was not reconciled. How could she be reconciled? At this time, she looked at the square and happened to see Guopai looking at her. Girl, my husband and I don't want to see your soul disappear like this. Later, when the ghost soldiers lose their minds, they will feel that they will enter my husband's gourd. If you don't believe us, then forget it. We will only give you this chance. Yu sent out a message with her divine sense. Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit in the air was stunned, and then she nodded at Yu. At 12 o'clock, when the power of the sun was at its strongest, Yu and Guopai looked at each other. Yu suddenly threw the substitute doll into the air. At 12 o'clock, the 2 ghost soldiers were suppressed by the power of the sun. At this time, they suddenly felt the aura of the vengeful spirit on the substitute doll. Without saying anything, they directly took the substitute doll with the soul-catching chain. Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit suddenly flew to Guopai and entered the Grand Supreme Elder's gourd without hesitation. The two ghost soldiers looked at the substitute doll in their hands and felt that something was wrong, but they couldn't tell what it was. However, since they had taken the vengeful spirit, they were ready to return to the underworld. Before they left, their eyes fell on Guopai and Yuer, and they couldn't help but quicken their pace. When they came to the human world, the ghost soldiers told them that they shouldn't offend Wu Xiu in the human world. Just think of the living immortal Zhang Sanfeng of the Ming dynasty. The two ghost soldiers were frightened by the aura of Guopai and broke out in cold sweat. Yuer and Guopai looked at the two ghost soldiers who escaped and slowly took a deep breath. This substitute doll couldn't even fool Oxhead and Horseface, let alone the King of Hell. However, since they had already saved Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit, if the underworld really sent people to ask for it, then they would just wait and see. The seal on the heavenly court and the underworld was not small in the human world, so they wouldn't lose out if they really fought. This wicked girl is really daring. She even used a substitute doll to deceive the ghost soldiers. On the Moon Palace, Fairy Chong, he was eating a bear's paw and couldn't help but lick her fingers and say softly. It was just a simple action, but Wu Gang, who was gnawing a bone 100 meters away, almost had a nosebleed. Fairy Chong burst into laughter. Your complexion has recovered well in such a short time. Guopai looked at Yuer and said jokingly, "Brother bad guy, Yuer has to thank you this time. I didn't expect that a vengeful spirit could bring you more merits than so many people in the square. What's wrong? Do you regret that you didn't do it yourself?" "Ha!" Yuer said with a smile. Guopai also laughed. Whether he could save the vengeful spirit or not, Yuer would get the same merits as him. They were now a couple in the human world. The vengeful spirit has been saved, but if she wants to be resurrected, it depends on whether the girl has such an opportunity. Guopai said softly. Yuer widened her eyes. Guopai actually wanted to resurrect Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit in another body. Fortunately, this guy was banished to the human world. Otherwise, who knew what he would do in the heavenly court? However, Guopai's words made Xiao Yun's vengeful spirit in the gourd quiver. If she could really resurrect in another body, then she could really come back to life. That would be great. Chapter 255. Little girl, behave yourself. Although that's what I said, it's against the laws of heaven to reincarnate in someone else's body. If things go wrong, I might also die. It depends on your luck. Guopai said softly to the gourd. Xiao Yun's soul inside immediately became obedient. We've been delayed for 2 days. Let's hurry to Shu Mountain. Yuer looked at the sky. It had been a long time since Yunxi County had such cloudless weather. Yuer said softly. Let's rest today and set off tomorrow. Dezhu and Kong Fei have lost a lot of blood recently. Let them have a good rest. Guopai said with a smile. Let Peng Dehai roast some delicious food tonight. Haha. After that, Guopai held Yuer's hand and walked straight back to the hotel. A few plainclothes people not far from them nodded gently and disappeared into the crowd. The matter in Yunxi County is settled. Although it was a bit harsh, it was still satisfying. A plainclothes man said to the phone in an inconspicuous hotel. The person on the other end of the phone was none other than the #1 chief of Huaxia that Li Dafu talked to on the phone that day. You guys come back. Let the people of Shadow protect Guopai and the others. Guo Xianwen is an interesting grandson. You guys don't need to go back to the capital. Go directly to Wu Castle and protect Old Master Guo. The #1 chief smiled and hung up the phone. The matter in Yunxi County would serve as a warning to Huaxia's officials for a long time. Brother, order whatever you want to eat today. Eat to your heart's content. I'll get you some good wine later. Drink to your heart's content. It's all on me, Peng Dehai. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the sky began to darken. Guopai's group of 5 arrived at Peng Dehai's barbecue restaurant. Pring Dahai greeted them from afar and said excitedly, "Brother Hai, business is good today. The restaurant is full so early." Guapai said with a smile, "I brought some ingredients today and need your help to roast them. I know it's not in line with the rules of our barbecue restaurant, but I'm really hungry. I want you to roast some for me." "I don't have anything you want to eat. Don't tell me you want me to roast dragon meat?" Pring Dahai asked with a smile. Guapai didn't explain. He directly passed a pile of meat skewers that he had prepared in the hotel in the afternoon to Pring Dahai. "Zhu Zi, you should learn from Brother Dahai. I reckon that Brother Dahai's shop is quite busy today. You should help me learn how to bake," Guapai said with a smile. Xue Dezhu nodded with a silly smile. Kong Fei also took the initiative to grill together. Guapai, Yuer, and Guatong Yuan sat there with smiles on their faces as they waited for the delicious food. Pring Dahai didn't stand on ceremony with Guapai and the others. He directly set up a spare barbecue rack next to the table where Guapai and the others were eating. After putting in the charcoal and various seasoning ingredients, Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei began to get busy. "Boss, you guys eat the meat skewers. We're not idle either. We're eating while roasting. What kind of meat is this? It's so delicious." Kong Fei couldn't help but swallow his saliva. He reluctantly handed a handful of barbecued meat skewers to Guapai. He had eaten Guapai's food on Mount Tyrannosaurus, but this thing smelled more delicious than the one he ate on Mount Tyrannosaurus. "You too, don't leave our table empty. Eat the meat skewers while they're hot. Let's try Brother Hai's wine. This wine is good. It's 30 years old newer Hong. Haha, it's flavorful and strong. Not bad, not bad," Guapai said with a smile. The wine in the human world couldn't be compared to his own aged wine, but he could still taste a different flavor. Today, Pring Dahai's barbecue shop was surprisingly popular. Several of the stored tables were all pulled out. A few people stood and ate happily. From time to time, they would take a few deep breaths. The fragrance coming from Xue Dezhu's barbecue rack made them fascinated. "Dahai, you're really not honest. We're considered regular customers. Although we don't mind if you take care of Brother Guapai, the meat skewers you roasted for us are really too different from the meat skewers on Brother Guapai's table." A big man who drank more than a jean of white wine finally couldn't help but stand up and shout at Pring Dahai. "Zhang Laolu, do you think I want to? The meat skewers that bad brother roasted over there are his own. I want to eat them too. I haven't eaten a single one." Pring Dahai responded loudly. "Brother, I'll give you another jar of good wine later. Can you let me try your meat skewers?" Guapai looked at the expectant Pring Dahai. With a trace of alcohol, he took a handful of meat skewers and walked to Pring Dahai's barbecue rack. Once again, he spread some barbecue seasoning and started roasting by himself. "Brother Hai, what did you just say?" "It's just some meat that I marinated myself. Try it." Guapai took half of the meat skewers and left the other half to Pring Dahai. Pring Dahai was ecstatic. He took a clean towel and wiped his hand. He picked up the meat skewers and walked to a table. Looking at the oily meat skewers, he fiercely ate one. Wife, come here quickly. I can't help it. I can't help it. If you don't come, I'll finish it all," Pring Dahai said as he ate the second skewer. Looking at the remaining 4 skewers, Pring Dahai looked at his wife who was walking over and couldn't help but eat the 3rd skewer. "Bastard, how can you eat so much? You've already eaten 3 skewers. The rest are all mine." After Pring Dahai's wife finished the 1st skewer, she slapped Pring Dahai's bald head and said loudly. Then, she grabbed the remaining 2 skewers tightly in her hands. "Wife, give me one more skewer. I beg you, just one. I don't want next month's pocket money. I don't want a single cent. I beg you, just let me eat one more." Pring Dahai almost knelt down in front of his wife. "You've already eaten 3 skewers. You still want more? Hurry up and barbecue the skewers." There are so many people watching. What do you want to do? Pring Dahai's wife said loudly. She didn't know where Pring Dahai got his courage and courage. He opened his mouth and directly bit off a piece of meat on the skewer. Then, he ran to his own barbecue rack as if he was escaping. Pring Dahai, you're courting death. Just you wait. When you're done, see how I'll deal with you. The people eating the barbecue looked directly at this valiant woman. Guopai even widened his eyes. Because of the meat skewer, Pring Dahai's wife actually burst out a murderous aura. I've already eaten it. Chopping off your head is just a scar. No, I'll put down my face and ask for 2 more skewers from my bad brother. I'm busy. You can eat the rest first. After Pring Dahai finished speaking loudly, he looked at Guopai expectantly. Guopai smiled and nodded. He picked up a skewer that hadn't been barbecued and handed it to Pring Dahai. Pring Dahai looked at his wife proudly as if he had received a life-saving straw. What are you looking at? Hurry up and barbecue. If you dare to eat 1 more skewer, you'll be dead. Pring Dahai's wife said loudly. The people at the table laughed. Chapter 256. The sumptuous dinner only ended at midnight. Guopai was generous enough to share his unfinished meat skewers with the people on Pring Dahai's table. Later, more and more people came after hearing the news. Guopai and his group of 5 left as if they were escaping. They did not even return to the hotel and directly drove towards Shu Mountain. Who asked you to be so smug? Great, now we have to rush through the night again. Yuer pouted. My dear wife, I am not asking you to drive. There is Kong Fei. We are not tired sitting. Isn't this a kind of cultivation? Guopai hugged Yuer and laughed. During the trip to Shu Mountain, he and Yuer each did a divination. It seemed like someone had hoodwinked them again. The mind-reading sage was having a headache. The people above seemed to be very concerned about the matters of the human world. On the Wuji peak of Shu Mountain, Taoist Buer and Yun'er, 1 old and 1 young, were sitting cross-legged. There were more than 10 people lying on the ground around them. They were already lifeless. From their attire, it could be seen that 4 of them were wearing Taoist robe. They should be the Taoist priests of Shu Mountain. The remaining 8 people were dressed like ninjas. They were undoubtedly Japanese ninjas. How is the situation at Wuji Peak? Halfway up Shu Mountain, a middle-aged man wearing ninja robes asked the people beside him with his eyes closed. Master Wu Ting, the 8 people we sent out have not returned. It has been half an hour. I am afraid that they have met with misfortune. A young man said softly. Baka. 8 middle-level ninjas can't even take down Wuji Peak? Didn't they say that those old fellows in Shu Mountain are all in seclusion? Continue, all of you go up. If you can't take down Wuji Peak, then just die up there. The ninja called Wu Ting shouted loudly. The few young men rushed towards Wuji Peak. Yun'er, later when you go down the mountain, whether you can meet Guopai or little you will depend on your luck. This time, I have miscalculated. If I am lucky enough to survive, I will definitely go to Japan to play. Japan's Sakura group. Good, very good. Taoist Buer said fiercely. However, a moment later, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. He sat down cross-legged again. This time, the Sakura group had received news from an unknown source that all the Xiantian realm and above experts of Mount Shu were all in seclusion. The Sakura group had obtained a map of Mount Shu a long time ago. There were some things they needed on the Wuji Peak. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Sakura group sent Jonin Mudu Inuo to the Wuji Peak with 16 Chunin and 48 Jonin to steal the Wuji tablet. Inuo Mudo didn't expect that the sloppy-looking old Taoist he met on the way was actually a master among masters. Although the old Taoist Fuji could only use less than 10% of his strength with poison, the old Taoist still managed to kill all 48 Minoti shinobi in one move. None of the 8 Chunin who chased after the Wuji Peak returned. Baka. Stinky old Taoist, I don't believe that you can kill all 16 of my Chunin subordinate. I don't believe that you can last long after being poisoned by my Yamata snake venom. Inuo Muto roared. Guapai's group of 5 had already arrived at the foot of Mount Shu after a day and night of flying. They parked the car. Naturally, they couldn't follow the tour group like tourists. The 5 of them took a few turns and arrived at a small road behind Mount Shu. Guapai's brows furrowed. An uncomfortable feeling enveloped him. Something had happened to Mount Shu. Something had indeed happened to Mount Shu. Otherwise, they wouldn't have left such an important place like the Wuji Peak unguarded. Of course, it couldn't be said that there was no one guarding it. 8 Peak Hotian disciples were arranged by the Mount Shu sword sects Zhang Bujing to guard the Wuji Peak with his old friend, Taoist Bu. He was currently at the Divine Martial Hall discussing the martial arts duel with the Mount Shu Chi sect's sect leader. Old Taoist, you're not from Mount Shu. We're just looking for something that our Sakura group's seniors left on the Wuji Peak. We don't want to have any conflict with you. Move aside and we'll let bygones be bygones. One of the Chunin spoke to Taoist Boer in unclear Huaxia language. Your Sakura group's seniors left on the Wuji Peak? Haha, don't you think it's funny? The Wuji Peak has always been a forbidden area of Mount Shu. Don't tell me that the 2 sect leaders of Mount Shu lack watchdogs? Why would they let you Japanese people come to the Wuji Peak? Taoist Bu squinted his eyes and said. That Chunin clenched his fist. The other 7 people slowly spread out and surrounded Taoist Bu and Yun'er. Yun'er, go find Guapai. Not only can he heal you, you'll have a bright future if you follow him. I know you understand what I mean. To me, the end is also a new beginning. After Taoist Bu finished speaking, a broken wooden sword appeared in his hand. He looked at the 8 Chunins with disdain. Baka, kill him. He actually dares to take out a short sword like this. This is an insult to our Sakura group. After that Japanese Chunin finished speaking, he leaped and disappeared in midair. After 3 breaths, a corpse was lying at Taoist Bu-er's feet. The corpse's eyes were wide open and there was a black hole in between his eyebrows. The wooden sword in Taoist Bu-er's hand was dripping with blood. The other 7 Chunins looked at each other. A bunch of hidden weapons were shot towards Taoist Bu-er as if they were free. No matter if it was the darts or the needles, the edges of the weapons were green. One look and one could tell that they were poisonous. Chapter 257. Taoist Bu-er, hold your last breath, I don't think I'm too late. Taoist Bu-er suddenly heard a familiar voice and slowly raised his head. Guapai was looking at him with a smile. Inuo Muta's face suddenly darkened. Boy, who are you? What are you doing here at Wuji Peak? Inuo Mutu asked loudly. Little Japanese, don't you think it's ridiculous to say such things in our Huaxia? What am I doing here? Are you stupid? Can't you see? I'm here to save people, and I'll take care of you while I'm at it. Guapai said loudly. His hands were not idle. He felt that Taoist Bu-er was heavily poisoned and could not be taken care of in a short time. He could only stabilize Taoist Bu-er's heart first, and then slowly take care of the poison in Taoist Bu-er's body. Senior, take this pill, don't use your internal strength anymore, or I can't guarantee that I can save you. Guapai said as he handed an emerald green pill to Taoist Bu. Be careful, this guy is a Japanese ninja. According to his strength, he should be a Jounin, equivalent to the enlightening stage. Taoist Bu-er took the pill, and a trace of coolness rushed to his head. He looked at Inuo Mutu and couldn't help but remind him. You're a disgrace. You were poisoned. Sai, watch how I deal with him. Guapai said as he took a step forward and looked at Inuo Mutu with a smirk. This poison is called Orochi's poison. It seems to be the poison of the Orochi in Japan. Recently, I've been busy with Huaxia. When I'm done with my business, I'll go to Japan and get the Orochi's gallbladder. Baka, arrogant boy, you can't be disrespectful to the snake god. After saying that, Inuo Mutu suddenly disappeared. You only know a little bit of space, and you dare to show off in front of me? Come out, Guopai said as he waved his hand and slapped Inuo Mutu's face. Inuo Mutu was also hit out of the space he had just hidden in. Impossible, how did you discover me? Inuo Mutu roared. He couldn't believe that the young man in front of him, who was not even 20 years old, had such ability. It wasn't the first time he came to Huaxia, and it wasn't the first time he clashed with Wu Xiu from Huaxia. However, Guopai's strength had completely shocked him. To put it nicely, this is called upholding justice. To put it bluntly, this is called acting tough. If you don't have the strength to act tough, then it wouldn't be something shameful. Just look at you now. You failed to act tough and got F***ked. Guopai laughed. Daoist Bu Er couldn't help but laugh as well. Baka, you Huaxia people are the best at playing tricks. Go to hell. After saying that, Inuo Mutu disappeared again, but a moment later, Guopai slapped him out of the space again. Inuo Mutu, who was about to sneak attack Guopai, was hit on both sides of his face, and his whole face was swollen. No, I can't use ninjutsu anymore. This boy is not weak. I have to use Yamata snake venom to knock him out first. F***ck, you can't be thinking that that little bit of poison can take care of yours truly, right? I'm not going to talk anymore. Give me the thing and tell me who sent you here. Yours truly will leave your corpse intact. Guopai said with a smile. At this moment, Yor brought Yun'er and the other four up the Wuji Peak. Brat, just who are you? I have to take this thing with me. How can we, the Sakura group, go back on our word? Inuo Mutu roared out. However, it was only for an instant. Guopai rushed in front of Inuo Mutu and snatched the brocade box away. Before he left, he didn't forget to give Inuo Mutu a vicious kick. Big wife, you take care of him from here. Find out who sent him to the Wuji Peak to steal things. Guopai said to Yor. Then, he took the brocade box and sat down on the stone table. Humph. Good things don't even cross my mind. Even though that was what Yor said, she still walked over to the side of the shocked Inuo Mutu. As for Guotong Yuan, his eyes were fixed on the brocade box. Even though he did not know what this Yang heavenly book that Guopai was talking about was, he could sense that this was no ordinary item. Big brother bad guy, he's dead. Just as Guopai was preparing to open the brocade box, Yor shouted out to Guopai. We haven't even used the puppet technique and he's already dead. Someone doesn't want us to find out anything. This is getting more and more interesting. Chapter 258. Yun'er looked at the black-faced Daoist Bu Er and could not help but run to Guopai. Without much effort, she pulled Guopai to her master's side. Little Yun'er, you are so sensible. Guopai sighed and said, Senior Bu Er, according to that dog's strength, it is impossible for him to succeed in a sneak attack on you. What happened to you? Alright, don't move first. Let me help you force out some of the poison in your body. Otherwise, your martial arts will be over. Daoist Bu Er did not say anything. Since Guopai said that he could help him, then he would definitely help him. In the entire Huaxia, Daoist Bu Er believed that Guopai was the number one in terms of medical skills. Senior has taken in a good disciple. Junior brother Tongyuan, take a look at Yun'er first. I will do the acupuncture for Senior. After saying that, Guopai took out a purple gold sandalwood box. Unless it was a last resort, Guopai would not take out this set of needles. There is nothing to see. His life is complete, and the heavens will take his soul. Boss, don't tell me you are going to do something like this. Guopai stared at Guopai, who was ignoring him, and asked loudly. You don't have to be so loud. Junior brother is indeed powerful. You can see through Yun Er's problem with one look. Seems like Junior brother also has a way to deal with the soul deficiency disease. I am more confident now. Guopai smiled. His hands were not idle. In a short while, all 81 silver needles were inserted into Taoist Bu Er's body. Senior Bu Er, this poison can be a great supplement. Do you want to take a gamble? If you suppress the snake poison in your body, it will definitely not be easy to form the Dan. Guopai asked with a smile. At this time, Taoist Bu Er was much better. At least he could speak normally. Cough, cough, Guopai, little you, I don't have the fortune to enjoy such good things. If little you needs them, then take them out and keep them for yourself. It's already very fortunate that I didn't die this time. This old Taoist doesn't need to consider whether or not the pills can be formed. Taoist Bu Er said with a bitter smile. Guopai, on the other hand, laughed loudly. Since Senior doesn't want it, I'll keep it for myself. After saying that, Guopai took out another long needle and stabbed it into Taoist Bu Er's arm. Then, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Black snake venom dripped out of the silver needle. It seems that I have to take some time to go to Japan and see which friend is preparing to play a big game of Go. Guopai said to himself. Little friend, when are you going? Call this old Taoist. This time, the Sakura group has given me such a huge gift. It's impolite not to reciprocate. No matter what, I have to return the favor. Taoist Bu Er said fiercely. It seemed like this time, Taoist Bu Er was really angry. Guopai, little you, there's something that I don't understand. What are these Japanese ninjas trying to steal from the Wuji Peak? Senior, you're guarding the Wuji Peak. Don't you know what you're guarding? Guopai was stunned and asked with a smile. Cough, cough, I'm ashamed to say that I only have some connections with a few old guys from the Mount Shu sword sect. I don't know much about the secrets of Mount Shu. Taoist Bu Er said with a slightly red face. Mount Shu sword sect? Mount Shu has 2 sections. Why are you guarding such an important place like the Wuji Peak with a few juniors? Is something wrong with Mount Shu? Guopai said softly. Damn, it can't be so coincidental. Don't tell me it's the duel of the 2 sects that occurs once every 1,000 years? Little you, the duel of the 2 sects of Mount Shu is a secret. Where did you hear this from? This time, it was Taoist Bu Er's turn to be shocked. Even he, the guest elder of Mount Shu, was not allowed to enter the divine martial hall. Guopao didn't say anything more. The duel between the 2 sects of Mount Shu was indeed a secret. However, it wasn't a secret to Chen Qingyuan back then. The founder of Mount Shu back then was Jiang Wuji. Back then, he had a good relationship with Chen Qingyuan. Back then, Chen Qingyuan had advised Jiang Wuji not to create a sword sect or qi sect. However, Jiang Wuji wasn't someone who would listen to others' advice. He insisted on splitting Mount Shu into sword sect and qi sect. Senior Bu Er, heal your injuries first. After that, help Yun Er. I will bring you to the divine martial hall of Mount Shu. It's not some secret. It's been tens of thousands of years, and it's always been the same thing. Guopai said with a smile. Taoist Bu Er did not ask any more questions. Guopai had many secrets. Thinking about it, in the entire Huaxia, he was probably the only one who could deal with the Orochi snake venom. Although Guopai could deal with the Orochi snake venom, the process was still very troublesome. Most of the snake venom had to be expelled through the silver needles. However, since he was not going to use the snake venom, he had to expel it completely. Guopai used the materials on the ground and made a big hole on the Wuji Peak. He asked Shuedezhu and Kong Fei to fill the hole with water. After that, he mixed some herbs and put them in. Taoist Bu Er was tormented quite badly. Fortunately, the Orochi snake venom in his body was cleaned. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. Little you, this time, this old Taoist owes you another favor. Daoist Bu Er changed his clothes and said to Guopai with a smile. We're on the same side. You're treating me like an outsider. Guanati said with a smile. He had a good impression of Daoist Bu Er. The key point was that Daoist Bu Er had taken in a perfect disciple. Although Daoist Bu Er was missing a soul, such an opportunity could only be encountered by chance. It's already late today. Let's eat something first, Guopai said with a smile. The two big guys volunteered to get some wood. The thing that Mount Shu did not lack the least was wood. However, only someone like Guopai would dare to light a fire at the peak of Mount Shu. Little you, there's something I have to tell you. I have a good relationship with Zhang Bujing of the Mount Shu sword sect. Do you think the box that the Japanese didn't steal can be returned to Mount Shu? Daoist Bu Er said with a smile. You mean the Tongyang Heavenly Book? To be honest, Mount Shu doesn't need this thing. In the whole of Huaxia, only you and I use it. You don't have to worry about this. When we go to the martial god point, I'll take care of those old Nyo noses. Guopai said with a smile. Daoist Bu Er's face was filled with black lines. Didn't Taoists hate people calling them old Nyo noses? Cough cough, senior, don't take it personally. I'm not talking about you. Guopai said with a smile. Let's eat first. After we eat and drink to our fill, we'll start helping Yun recover that soul succubus tomorrow morning. For this soul succubus I've spent a lot of effort. When Daoist Bu Er heard Guopai's words, he was instantly energized. He wasn't sure how much effort Guopai had spent. However, in order to gather the things that Guopai wanted, he had turned Mount Shu and the other big mountains of Huaxia upside down. He owed a lot of favors and had finally gathered everything. Boss, you didn't drink much today. Let me tell you, this isn't easy to do. If you don't do it well, you might even lose your life. Guopai looked at Guopai and said softly. The things that God took away, you just have to add back. Why are you so awesome? Aren't you just giving God a hard time? Chapter 259. Guopai raised his head and looked at the sky. The moon tonight was exceptionally round. Although there were still some things that he didn't understand after coming down from the heavenly court, Guopai vaguely understood some things. Since he was going to do it, he might as well do it properly in the lower realm. Furthermore, since that person from the Moon Palace sent Ur down to the lower realm, that person from the Moon Palace should take care of everything. Boss, you have to think carefully. Although I know about my past and present life, I can't help much with the matter of the soul returning to the body. This is equivalent to going against the heavens and changing one's fate. Things go wrong, we might really lose our lives. Guotongyuan muttered carefully. Junior brother, leave this matter to me. When the time comes, you just need to help me set up a few formations. It's a pity that you can't find those magical treasures from before. Otherwise, we can do it openly in front of that person from the heavens. He can't do anything to us, haha. Guopai said with a smile. Guotongyuan's face was filled with black lines. Can't do anything to us? Back then, this old Taoist was almost turned into ashes. On the night of the full moon, Guopai set up a formation on the Wuji peak of Shu Mountain. Waves of energy gathered on the Wuji peak. If other Wuxiu saw this, they would definitely fight to get their hands on the Wuji peak. However, Guopai's second formation caused the scene just now to darken. A bunch of bastards from Shu Mountain. There are only so many resources on Earth. It's not easy to wait for the night of the full moon, but they are actually using different methods to snatch it. A bunch of damned cow noses. Peng Tianhua of Buzhou Mountain looked at the changes in the direction of Shu Mountain and said angrily. However, there was nothing he could do. In the past, there were at least 2 people on Buzhou Mountain. Now that Lao Qin was busy with something and had yet to return, he could only wait for Lao Qin to return and ask him what was going on outside. Guopai is really daring. as expected of someone who was sent down from the heavens. If this was in the past, he would have been tormented to death by those loose cultivators on earth. Even Zhang Sanfeng would not have dared to be so overbearing. Guo Tongyuan thought to himself as he enjoyed the abundant moonlight. After a night of recovery, the one who benefited the most was not Guo Pai, but Taoist Bu Er. Not only were his injuries completely healed, under the abundant moonlight, he even faintly comprehended the way of the void core. Guo Pai couldn't help but sigh at his good luck. "Come here, Yun'er. I have something to tell you." Guo Pai looked at little Yun'er, who was dressed in Dao robes, and chuckled. "Master!" Yun'er looked at Guo Pai and called out softly. "Master? Haha, good. You didn't lose out by calling me master." Senior Bu Er, no matter if Yun called me master or if he called me master of his own free will, I will accept the title of master. Guanati laughed and Taoist Bu Er laughed as well. With Yun-er's intelligence and the things that Senior Bu Er has told you these days, you should know what we are going to do today. Guo Pai said with a smile. The soul returning to the body is not a small matter. I don't have 100% confidence. Yun knows. However, Master Bu Er said that if there is one person in this world who can save Yun, it would be you, bad master. Yun said softly. Furthermore, Yun is already lucky to have survived all these years. Yun-er's words not only made Guo Pai's eyes light up, even Guo Tongyuan's eyes widened. To have such a state of mind at such a young age, it was rare. Senior, take out the things that I asked you to prepare. Yun-er's state of mind is not bad. At the beginning, I had a 70% confidence. Now that junior brother Tongyuan is here, I have a 90% confidence, Guo Pai said with a smile. Hearing Guo Pai's words, old Taoist Tongyuan braced himself and took a step forward. No matter what, he could not admit defeat. Back then, the 9-wrath heavenly thunder did not take his life. This time it was just a support. The problem would not be too big. I will leave everything to you guys, Taoist Bu Er said as he placed a pile of things in front of Guo Pai. Guo Pai nodded his head lightly. This old Taoist had really put in a lot of effort for Yun. Not to mention that he had prepared everything, the quality was not low either. Guo Pai took out a small jade bottle and said to the succubus in Bugyaku with a smile, "You heard our conversation, right? Be honest with me. You have 2 options now. Cooperate with me to enter Yun-er's body and become his succubus. Otherwise, I will erase the last trace of your consciousness and implant it into Yun-er's body. No matter what, I have 10,000 years of cultivation. You want me to enter this kid's body? Aren't you afraid that I will destroy this kid?" The succubus transmitted a message. Even the heavens cannot destroy him. If you want to destroy him, you can try. During these days, Guo Pai had also figured out the origin of this succubus. It really gave him a shock. He did not expect this succubus to be the soul of an ancient golden core stage expert. It was similar to old Taoist Tongyuan. However, it was slightly weaker than old Taoist Tongyuan, leaving only a succubus behind. What benefits do I have? The succubus in the bottle waited for 3 minutes before asking softly. Benefits? I really don't know how you managed to cultivate to the golden core stage back then. Haven't you heard of the 10 innate perfections? Do you think we have to use a succubus like you? The benefits are that we are giving you a chance. Do you understand? I won't waste time with you. Since we are in Shu Mountain, there are many good things here. I am confident that I can create a succubus. You can stay in this bottle for the rest of your life. Guo Pai said loudly. Upper Immortal, don't be angry. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I will cooperate with you and become this kid's succubus. I swear on the Soul God that if I have any thoughts of betrayal, the heavens will not tolerate it. When the succubus heard that Guo Pai was angry, it naturally knew what Guo Pai was capable of. How could it dare to ask for any benefits? Rather than staying in the bottle for the rest of its life, it would rather follow a person with the 10 innate perfections. At least it would have limitless glory in the future. Bitch, if I don't scold you, you won't know what's good for you, Guopai said with a smirk. This was enough to scare the succubus. Guopai took out Taoist Bu Er's 5 elemental stone, mountain suppressing stone, 81 types of beast bones, 72 types of essence blood, and those 100-year-old ginseng and lingji mushrooms. Guopai arranged everything neatly. If he wanted the succubus to return to its body, the biggest challenge was to deceive the heavens. That was the guy in the heavenly court that no one had ever seen before. Legend had it that he was in charge of the rules. That substitute doll you made the other day was very interesting. Do you have any good suggestions for me to let the succubus return to its body? Guopai looked at who was helping him arrange things, and asked with a smile. This time, the succubus returning to its body is very similar to my substitute doll. However, it is much more difficult. Said softly. Try to make the person in charge of the rules focus on these things the moment the succubus returns to its body. Once the succubus returns to its body, it will not be able to interfere with this matter. After all, Yun-Er's succubus is with him. Even if he does not want to appear in full, he will not be able to steal the same person's succubus twice. Guopai nodded lightly. His side was ready. He walked over to Taoist Bu Er and de Zhu Kong Fei's side. The succubus returning to its body would take about half an hour. If someone came to the Wuji Peak during this time, whether it was intentional or not, they could interrupt the succubus returning to its body. If that was the case, Yun-Er would definitely die. Guopai's life would be uncertain. Chapter 260. Taoist Bu Er led Xue Dezhu and Kong Fei to set up a defense on 3 sides of the Wuji Peak. 1 Shudan realm expert and 2 enlightened realm expert. With such a formation, it was enough to deal with most things. Even if someone could break through the 3 of them, there was still a big boss like Yuer above them. No matter how one looked at it, there should not be a problem. Guopai and Guotong Yuan set up 3 large formations on the Wuji Peak. Actually, Guotong Yuan and Guopai both knew that it was impossible for these formations to fool the person in the sky. However, if they did not do so, they would feel that something was missing. Yun-Er followed Guopai's request and stood in the middle of the Wuji Peak. The entire Wuji Peak suddenly darkened. Guopai nodded his head lightly. Guotong Yuan's 3 large formations combined with his heaven-shrouding formation, with Yun-Er as the center of the formation, resulted in this effect. Mei Hun was released from the jade bottle. The formation in front of him gave him a shock. Although he did not know what kind of formation was set up on the Wuji Peak, he could feel the pressure of the formation. Even when he was in the golden elixir realm, he could not complete such a large formation. The last bit of hope in Mei Hun's heart disappeared completely. He walked step by step towards Yun-Er. Mei Hun, Yun-Er is the main and you are the support. Enter the body of the Mei Hun. Believe me, this time you and Yun-Er are together. It is definitely a win-win situation. Guanati chuckled. 9 silver needles pierced into Yun-Er's body as the spirit succubus attached itself onto Yun-Er's body. Moments later, the spirit succubus entered Yun-Er's body. However, it would take at least half an hour for the spirit succubus to truly enter Yun-Er's body. Rumble! The moment the Mei Hun entered Yun-Er's body, the originally dark sky started to rumble with thunder. Guopai looked up at the sky and could not help but take a deep breath. Yun-Er was the center of the formation, and he was the support. He hoped that nothing would go wrong. In the depths of the Heaven Lake in the Changbai Mountains, the shriveled old man opened his eyes again. Or rather, when Yuer used the puppet technique on Inuo Mutu, this old man had already woken up. A terrifying energy caused all the living things in the Heaven Lake to quickly escape. Who was it? Who killed my disciple and ruined my plans? Who was it? The old man roared, and the 36 ceiling stones around the cavern shook violently. They were almost shaken off by the old man. Shu Mountain. Now is the time when the two sects of Shu Mountain are fighting. No one can stop those guys from Fusang. I want to know who ruined my plans. As soon as the old man finished speaking, in a small town at the foot of Mount Shu thousands of miles away, more than 10 Wuxiu warriors, the weakest of whom was already at the peak of the Xiantian realm, ran towards the Wuji peak at the peak of Mount Shu as if they were flying. Only these Wuxiu are left. If they still can't find out who it is, this old man's plan will have to wait for another 10,000 years. After the shriveled old man finished speaking, his whole body fell into a dead silence again. Boss, you is really daring to follow that mind-reading perfected lord. They are actually preparing to do such a thing in the lower realm. Do you need to inform that person? Wu Gang stood behind Chang Yi and looked at a large light-reflecting mirror. It was the scene where Guopai and others were busy setting up the formation just now. Why should I inform him? He didn't even care that the old man Hongjun helped Ho Yi to reincarnate in a body. Will he help me with such a small matter? Fairy Chang Yi said loudly, I seem to have guessed one thing right. It turns out that I am not the only one who is preparing to play a big game of chess. Boss, what do you mean? Wu Gang scratched his head and asked in a low voice. Pig brain, you are a pig brain. You are so big. What is in your head? I want to open it now. Chang Yi stared at him and said loudly, when mind-reading perfected lord was banished to the lower realm, do you really think that he peeped on me taking a bath, as Erling Shin's stupid uncle said? Ahem, I didn't believe it at first. But later, after hearing what he said, I started to believe it. As the saying goes, the lust is great. Wu Gang whispered. Bang. Wu Gang flew back 1,000 meters. Scram for me. Call the monkey over. I have something to ask him. Boss, I wonder why you asked Wu Gang to call me over. Sun Wukong stood on a 7-colored auspicious cloud and stopped outside the Moon Palace. He looked at Chang Yi, who was walking out, and asked with a smile. You are really comfortable being the victorious fighting Buddha. Back then, I helped you a lot. Don't you know how to come and see me? Chang Yi said with a smile. Sister, you have wronged me. My life now is not as good as when I was in Huagua Mountain. Nothing is easy to do. It is also very troublesome to come to your Moon Palace. Sun Wukong said with a smile, I wonder why you called me over this time. Back then, you accompanied Golden Cicada on the path of merit. When you passed by Nightmare Mountain, you seemed to have encountered a lot of trouble. Chang Yi said with a smile. Sister, why are you mentioning that? I was lucky back then. Otherwise, I would have been killed by that nightmare demon. Sun Wukong said with a smile, in the end, it was thanks to Dipankara Buddha's help that I was able to kill that nightmare demon. Sister, could it be that something happened in Nightmare Mountain again? Sun Wukong, did you really kill Nightmare Demon with a stick back then? Chang Yi did not answer Sun Wukong's question. Instead, she asked with a smile, Are you sure you were not in a dream when you killed him? I am sure. Dipankara Buddha was also there. Buddha said that once the matter was settled, I should quickly take my master to the west. I left Nightmare Mountain with Buddha. Sun Wukong's expression suddenly became serious. Yes, back then, he did hit Nightmare Demon's head with a stick. Nightmare Demon did not have any aura at all. Could this be a trap? Go back. If you have time, go and find Dipankara Buddha. Things back then are getting more and more interesting. After Chang Yi finished speaking, she left Sun Wukong with a puzzled face. Sun Wukong was straightforward. He flew towards Dipankara Buddha's dojo. After about 10 minutes, the 12 Wuxiu had arrived at Wuji Peak. They could vaguely see the situation at Wuji Peak. Of course, Daoist Buer had also noticed the 12 wuxiu. Everyone, please wait. Daoist Buer stopped in front of the 12 people. Shushan sect is in seclusion. Shushan is not receiving guests recently. Please go back. Senior Buer, you are not from Shushan. We want to go to Wuji Peak. It has nothing to do with you. A burly man said loudly. It has nothing to do with me. But recently, something happened at Wuji Peak. It has something to do with me. Please go back. Since you know me, please give me some face. Daoist Buer said with a smile. However, his palms were sweating. Among the 12 wuxiu there was actually a fasting expert. One must know that the number of fasting experts in Huaxia could be counted. For such an expert to appear at this juncture, it seemed like a disaster rather than a blessing. After a moment, the fasting expert narrowed his eyes and said, Daoist Buer, move aside. I haven't found trouble with you regarding my martial nephews. You don't have to care about today's matter. Your martial nephews? You are from Shushan sect? Daoist Buer thought for a moment. If there was anyone who had a conflict with him recently, it would be the disciples of Shushan sect that he killed on the plain. Chapter 261. Let's end this quickly. The old man roared and rushed to the front of Daoist Buer. There was a gap between the early stage of Anidia and Daoist Buer, but Daoist Buer didn't dare to be careless. This was because the old man used a killer move right from the start. The other 11 people didn't stay idle either. Kong Fei and Xuedezhu had already rushed over from the other side. However, even if Daoist Buer was holding back 4 masters, the other 8 people were still suppressing Kong Fei and Xuedezhu. Kong Fei was still fine, but Xuedezhu was already injured in less than 10 rounds. Little Fei Dezhu, don't hold back. Kill them with all your might. After Daoist Buer knocked down an enlightening stage master, he shouted loudly. This time, the 12 people were the same as those Japanese people. They used their killing moves as soon as they came up. Daoist Buer was also depressed. His injuries had just recovered, but now he was injured again under the joint attack of these people. Senior, we can't stop them. They are too cruel. They don't even care about their own lives. Every move is a killer move. Kong Fei and Xuedezhu gathered together. Kong Fei said while panting. There were still 8 people who could stand in front of the 3 of them. However, Xuedezhu's shoulder and thigh had many injuries. He couldn't continue fighting anymore. Daoist Buer, if you don't move away, don't blame us for killing you. The other Anidia master said loudly. We can't let them pass even if we die. If they rush up the Wuji Peak, Guopai and Yun'er will be in danger. Daoist Buer gritted his teeth and said loudly. Xuedezhu and Kong Fei's eyes were red. Kong Fei reached out and pulled Xuedezhu, who wanted to rush forward. Dezhu, take a rest first. These small fries aren't even enough for me to deal with. As he said that, Kong Fei's body exploded with a terrifying aura. Even Daoist Buer was stunned. The power that Kong Fei was showing now was a real Anidia master. Brother Fei, you. Xuedezhu was stunned. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say a word. Of course, he knew why Kong Fei's sense of power suddenly became so strong. Wasn't it because of the senior Magus's secret magic taught by Guopai? At first, Guopai didn't plan to tell Xuedezhu and Kong Fei about the senior magi, but since he had always taken their blood, Guopai finally couldn't help but tell them about it. He also told them about some secret methods of using the senior magi's blood. He didn't expect that they would really use it this time. You actually hid your strength just now. Who exactly are you? The old man from Shu Mountain roared. Kong Fei, who had been through hundreds of battles, didn't waste time. His fist was already in front of the old man. Bang! The old man flew back more than 30 meters. Kong Fei stood firmly. Who am I? When you wanted to kill us just now, you didn't ask who I am. I'm the one who wants your lives. After saying that, Kong Fei charged towards the remaining 7 people. In less than 3 minutes, all 8 of them, including the old man, were lying on the ground, losing their ability to fight. Young people these days are really ruthless. What kind of attack did Guopai teach this kid? How did he become so strong all of a sudden? Daoist Bu Er didn't even make a move this time. The 8 people opposite him were all defeated by Kong Fei alone. Kong Fei, protect your heart. You really have guts. As soon as it was over, Guotong Yuan appeared in front of them. Yun Er's soul entering her body was very successful this time. It would be done in a few minutes. Guopai heard the sound of fighting below and asked Guotong Yuan to come down and take a look. He didn't know if he didn't see, but when he saw it, he was shocked. He didn't expect this big guy to really use the senior Magus's blood. Kong Fei was stunned. Suddenly, he felt his legs go soft and squatted on the ground. He couldn't use any strength in his body. Damn it, with this body, you dare to use the senior Magus's blood. It's lucky that you didn't die. Guotong Yuan said as he stuffed a purple pill into Kong Fei's mouth. I can't deal with your situation. Let's wait for the boss to come and take a look. Senior Magus, it's actually the descendant of a senior Magus. I haven't caused trouble for you guys all these years. You guys actually let your descendant cause trouble for me. Just you wait. When I recover my true body, you guys will all die. All of you will die. Under the Heaven Lake, the shriveled old man roared angrily. The 8 Wu Xiu from Shu Mountain who were still alive suddenly lost all their vitality. Dead? They're actually dead? Looks like someone is really playing a big game of chess. Guotong Yuan quickly noticed that the 8 people had lost their vitality and shook his head. Rumble. About 8 minutes later, thunder roared in the sky. The others didn't pay much attention to it, but Guotong Yuan couldn't help but shrink his neck. He was familiar with this thunder. This was the thunder of heaven's wrath. Damn, it attracted the heavenly thunder at this critical moment. Guopai, who was standing next to Yun couldn't help but say, I can handle 3 heavenly thunder of wrath. But if it's 6 heavenly thunder of wrath, then we'll have to rely on our luck. Guopai pulled out the old lord's gourd, changed his clothes into a Taoist robe, and pulled out an 8 trigrams diagram. Then he looked up at the sky. This thunderclap woke up many people. All the people in Huaxia who had entered the fasting period all looked at Shu Mountain. Even the 2 patriarchs who were discussing the martial arts battle in the Divine Martial Hall were stunned. Bujing, Fei Tianyang said. Mr. Bu is on the Wuji Peak. Don't tell me he's about to break through to the Golden Core stage. Chapter 262. The thunder rumbled. Although it had yet to strike, Guopai could already feel that it was not as simple as the 3 wrath heavenly thunder. Guopai was a little nervous. However, looking at Yun who was at the eye of the formation, Guopai felt relieved. With Yun current state, it was not a problem for her to withstand the 6 wrath heavenly thunder. Damn, the 9 wrath heavenly thunder! It's just a soul returning to the body. The heavens must be blind. Guopai's heart had just calmed down. He did not expect that the moment the soul and Yun completely merged, the heavenly thunder would come crashing down. If this was not the 9 wrath heavenly thunder that Chen Qingyuan attracted when he ascended to the heaven realm, what else could it be? Guopai did not dare to leave. Once he left, the formation around him would be messed up. However, if he did not leave, the remaining power of the 9 wrath heavenly thunder would turn him into ashes. Brother bad guy, hurry up and leave Yun This 9 wrath heavenly thunder is not something you can withstand. Yu shouted the moment the heavenly thunder came. Although she had not experienced the 9 wrath heavenly thunder, she had followed Chang'e for tens of thousands of years. Even if she had not eaten pork, she had seen pigs run. In the past, countless Aurus Core stage experts had died under the heavenly thunder. Guopai was only in the enlightening stage. The remaining power of the heavenly thunder could indeed turn him into ashes. Guopai gritted his teeth and took out a mountain river painting from the Elder Lord's gourd. With his current strength, he could at most unleash 10% of the power of the mountain river map. The biggest advantage was that he could enter the mountain river map when the heavenly thunder struck. As for whether he could survive, he did not know. "Brother bad guy, hurry up and enter the mountain river map. You big idiot!" Yor shouted. Just as she was about to bite her tongue and use the Great Witch's secret technique to save Guopai, a tender voice entered her ears. "Sister, master will be fine. I can handle this 9-wrath heavenly thunder." The one who spoke was Yun, who suddenly opened her eyes. She was so charming that even Yu could not see Yun clearly. Guopai closed his eyes. If he was going to die, then so be it. Yun waved his hand and a terrifying power clashed with the heaven lightning. Yu's eyes widened. This is the power of virtue. How can there be so much of it? This is unbelievable. Who exactly is Yun? Umitba, if I don't kill Boren, how can Boren die for me? I've already withstood the heavenly lightning, so don't make things difficult for the true monarch. Yun stopped in midair and looked up at the sky. The second wave of 9-wrath heavenly thunder disappeared into the horizon. Yun's original body is the benevolent heart Buddha. No wonder he could still have such a terrifying amount of power of virtue after being reincarnated for 10,000 years. Bad guy bro has struck gold this time. Yu looked at Yun, who was falling from midair, and said excitedly, "This trip to the mortal realm was going to be interesting." The benevolent heart Buddha, the role model of all Buddhas, actually followed Guopai after being reincarnated. The more she thought about it, the more interesting it was. He withstood it. To think that the 9-wrath heavenly thunder can be used like this. Guopai looked at Yun, who was falling, and flew over to catch him. He slowly checked Yun's body. He was only unconscious and did not have any major injuries. Finally, he heaved a sigh of relief. "Bad guy bro, do you know who Yun was in his previous life?" Yu smiled and looked at Guopai. "I don't know. I have only ascended to the heaven realm tens of thousands of years ago. In the heaven realm, other than the 1,000,000 immortal seats in the heavenly court, there are also 10,000 Buddhas in the Western Pure Land. I know everyone. However, it seems like Yun was a powerful person in his previous life. He withstood the 9-wrath heavenly thunder directly. Benevolent heart Buddha. Do you know him? He was the most talented Buddha in the Buddha world under the Dipankara Buddha." Yu smiled and said. Guopai opened his eyes wide. No matter how ignorant he was, he still knew the name of Benevolent Heart Buddha. The path to heaven lasted for 300 years, which was the path to the west that the golden cicada took. The path of merit used by the immortals in the heavenly court to eliminate their karma. The Benevolent Heart Buddha walked for a total of 300 years. As for how much merit he obtained, no one knew. However, it was rumored that the Benevolent Heart Buddha was killed by the Demon King during the Great War of Buddha and Demon 10,000 years ago. No one expected him to be reincarnated in the mortal realm. No wonder he is natal complete. Let's wait until Yun wakes up. I heard some movement at the foot of the mountain just now. Are De Zhu and Kong Fei okay? Guopai asked softly. I don't know. I heard quite a lot of movement at the foot of the mountain. I asked your junior brother Tong Yuan to go down and take a look. There was no movement for a long time. I think the matter has been settled. Yu smiled and said, Boss, if Yun's matter is settled, come down quickly. Kong Fei used the essence blood of a great witch. His breath is very weak now. I can't handle him. Just as the two were talking, Guotong Yuan shouted loudly. Guopai and Yu looked at each other. The two of them carried the unconscious Yun and flew down the Wuji Peak. Big bad brother, This secret method of activating the essence blood of a great witch was also taught to Kong Fei by Yu. Yu also had the blood of a great witch. Before she reached Kong Fei, she could feel the aura of a great witch in the air. He must have used the secret method of a great witch. This secret method could increase one's strength quickly. Of course, the side effects were not small. For Kong Fei, it was already very lucky that he was not dead. Guo Pai did not say much. He handed Yun'er over to Taoist Bu. Then, he took out a jade green pill and stuffed it into Kong Fei's mouth. Following that, he used 9 silver needles to protect Kong Fei's heart meridian. A trace of heartache appeared in his heart. The heavens were not kind, but Kong Fei was his own person. These days, he had been treating Kong Fei like a disciple. How could he not feel heartache? This is Mount Shu. I want to go to the Divine Martial Palace. Back then, Wuji Daoist left behind many good things that can help Kong Fei recover quickly. Guo Pai said calmly. Daoist Bu opened his eyes wide. Kid, you are not from Mount Shu. You cannot go to the Divine Martial Palace. Even a guest elder like me does not have the qualifications to enter the Divine Martial Palace. Daoist Bu said softly. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang both have bad tempers. Although I do not know how strong you are now, if the two of them were to go all out, you and I would not have a chance of winning even if we work together. Furthermore, there are arrays set up outside the Divine Martial Palace. I do not know where to go in. You guys wait for me at the Wuji Peak. I will bring Kong Fei up. The arrays outside the Divine Martial Palace are nothing to me. Guo Pai said softly. Back then, he had an extremely good relationship with Wuji Daoist Bu. He ascended to the heaven realm before Wuji Daoist Bu. Later on, Wuji Daoist Bu also ascended to the heaven realm. He was the current Wuji True Lord of the Heavenly Court. Back then, Wuji Daoist Bu-er's residence was also very close to Mind Reading True Lord's residence. Brother bad guy, let me go with you. At that time we can take care of each other. Yu said softly. Guo Pai nodded his head lightly. Daoist Bu still wanted to say something, but he was pulled back by Yun who had already opened her eyes. Guo Pai looked at Yun and smiled. He pulled Yu and leaped towards the cliff of the Wuji Peak. Shuedazhu opened his eyes wide. However, Yu and Guo Pai floated in mid-air and walked up step by step. Yun how do you feel? Daoist Bu watched as Guo Pai brought Yu and Kong Fei away step by step. Then, they disappeared into the void. He could not help but ask his disciple. My soul has returned to my body. I feel that my entire body is filled with energy. Furthermore, I am now in the enlightening stage. Yun said with a smile. Cough cough, what did you say? You are now in the enlightening stage? Daoist Bu was stunned by Yun. After living for so many years, he had never seen a situation where a mortal directly reached the enlightening stage. Not to mention the enlightening stage, other than a kid who was struck by lightning and went from the Hotian stage to the post-celestial stage, there had never been such a thing. However, today it happened to his disciple. Furthermore, she had jumped a few levels. Fei Tianyang, did your master of energy offend someone recently? Why would someone break into the Divine Martial Hall at a time like this? Zhang Bu looked at Fei Tianyang and asked. Zhang Bu, Fei Tianyang said, the way I see it, it must be your sword sect who caused some trouble. Look at you. It's just a few troublemakers. If you don't dare to do anything about it, then we masters of energy will. After all, we're the victors of this martial arts competition. With that, Fei Tianyang strode out of the hall. Sect Lord, Yun Ting said softly, those people said they wanted to borrow the rest returning platform from Shushan. I've never even heard of it. Are they really here to cause trouble? Rest returning platform? I'll go and take a look. Yunting, go and call a few elders over. I'm afraid the people who came this time are not friendly. Zhang Bujing said as he walked towards the easternmost part of the divine martial palace. Done. Guopai put away the jade cores, then drew a few paper talismans and stuck them to the bottom of the platform. The platform that Kong Fei was lying on rotated 3 times, causing all of the power in the divine martial hall to converge on it. It was at this point that Guopai caught sight of a group of relatively strong people heading in their direction. Big bro bad guy, Yu said softly, there are a lot of people here. 4 of them are in the fasting stage, and the rest are in the enlightening stage. If we fought them like normal, we wouldn't be able to beat them. Without any golden core experts, Yu wasn't too worried. Just give them a few things, Yang Qi said with a smile. I'll give them some face. Guopai was on good terms with Master Limitless. Although he had been banished to the lower world, he wouldn't go so far as to bully people from Shushan. Master Limitless? It's that guy who cultivates both sword and qi. No wonder when I first arrived at the Divine Martial Palace, the statue looked familiar. Yu said with a smile. Although she didn't have much interaction with this limitless true lord, she had heard of him. I wonder why the 2 of you trespassed into my divine martial hall. Zhang Bujing looked at Guopai and Yu and asked loudly. A powerful pressure fell on them. Let's talk nicely. You can't force us to explain. Let's fight. Guopai said with a smile. Zhang Bujing was stunned. His pressure just now wasn't weak. Most enlightening stage experts wouldn't be able to withstand it. He didn't expect this kid in the middle enlightening stage to be able to laugh. What surprised him even more was that the girl beside this kid didn't seem to be affected by his pressure at all. What's there to explain? The Divine Martial Hall is a forbidden area of Shushan. Without the permission of Shushan sect, anyone who trespasses into the Divine Martial Hall will be sentenced to death. Fei Tianyang said bluntly. Aren't you curious about how we got into the Divine Martial Hall? Guopai said with a smile. We're all descendants of old friends. We're just borrowing the rest returning platform. Moreover, the array to activate the rest returning platform was set up by this young master himself. We're not taking advantage of Shushan. Impudent. I don't care how you trespassed into the Divine Martial Hall. You've injured my Shushan people. Don't even think about leaving the Divine Martial Hall today. Fei Tianyang said loudly. If I'm not wrong, Shushan's martial arts competition will be held soon. I think that before the competition ends, this senior can't represent Shushan. Judging from your aura, you're at most the sect master of Shushan's Qi school. Guopai narrowed his eyes at Fei Tianyang. The key to the Qi school secret technique is to cultivate Qi. Senior, if you're so angry every day, I'm afraid you won't be able to break through the Anidia stage in your lifetime. It's really a tragedy for Shushan. You, an enlightening stage brat, dares to teach me a lesson? You're courting death. Fei Tianyang said loudly, preparing to teach Guopai a lesson. Old man, if you can't outtalk me, bad guy, then you're going to beat me up. You're much weaker than your old ancestor, Limitless. Yu-er's beautiful eyes stared fiercely at Fei Tianyang as she said loudly. Fei Tianyang immediately withered. It seemed like these 2 youths had a strong background. Little girl, judging from your appearance, are you from the Jade Lake sect? Zhang Bujing looked at Yu-er and couldn't help but ask. From her appearance to her tone of voice, Zhang Bujing guessed that this girl was from the Jade Lake sect that was recorded in the ancient books of Shushan. Jade Lake sect? Yu-er was stunned as she looked at Guopai. The Jade Lake sect was established by the Queen Mother in the mortal realm. Sister Chang Yi and the Queen Mother are sworn enemies. Although I'm not from Sister Chang Yi's Dark Knight army, I'm not from the Jade Lake sect. Guopai said with a smile. Then this lady can't be from the Jade Lake sect. Yu said loudly. Chapter 264. If you're not from the Jade Lake sect, then who are you? How dare you call our master Wuji by his name? Zhang Bujing squinted his eyes and asked. If I'm not wrong, you should be the Sword sect leader. It's indeed wrong for us to barge into the Divine Martial Hall. How about this? We'll take these pills as an apology to Shu Mountain. When my brother recovers, we'll leave immediately and won't affect the battle between the two sections. In addition, this brother of mine was injured in order to protect your Wuji Peak. Your Shu Mountain should at least say thank you to us, Gua said with a sly smile. Kid, do you think we'll believe you just because you brought out a broken bottle? Do you think we're so easy to fool? Fei Tianyang roared and jumped towards Gua Pai. If you have the ability, then suppress your strength to the same level as this young master. If I lose, then my brother's injuries will no longer be treated by your Shushan sect. I will immediately scram. Gua Shui forcefully received Fei Tianyang's punch and roared loudly. Good kid, you're quite strong. You're already in the enlightening stage at such a young age. No wonder you're so arrogant. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your sect's elders, Fei Tianyang said as he suppressed his strength to the middle enlightening stage and walked towards Gua Pai step by step. Wuji, I'll teach your Shu Mountain sect on behalf of you this time. If I'm lucky enough to return to the Heaven Realm, I'll get back this favor from you sooner or later, Gua Pai thought to himself with a smile. Kid, no matter which sect you're from, you'll have to pay the price for barging into Shu Mountain. Fei Tianyang looked at Gua Pai's indifferent face and became even angrier. Sword sect leader, don't just stand there. Come at me together, it'll save us some trouble later. Gua Pai looked at Zhang Bujing and said with a smile. This time, even the bad-tempered sword sect leader was angered. Kid, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. I won't take advantage of you. I'll suppress my strength to your level. If old Fei can't defeat you, then I'll deal with you, Zhang Bujing said loudly. Zhang Bujing, if I can't beat him, then you definitely can't either. Aren't you shameless? Fei Tianyang said as he strode towards Gua Pai. Shushan sect focuses on swords. Draw your swords, Gua Pai said loudly. A long sword appeared in his hand. It looked ordinary. You're not going to accompany me? Let this old man draw his sword. As Fei Tianyang spoke, he charged towards Gua Pai. Fei Tianyang was a little surprised. Even though he had suppressed his power to the middle stage of Enlightened Realm, he couldn't gain any advantage over Gua Pai. The highest level of the Mount Shu sword technique is 10,000 swords returned to 1. With your current strength, you can only achieve 100 swords returned to 1. Furthermore, you are using the sword technique and chi technique respectively. Even if you can achieve 100 swords returned to 1, you can only use 70% of your strength. Let me teach you what 100 swords returned to 1 is. Even Zhang Bujing, who was standing not too far away, was unable to make out what was going on. However, Fei Tianyang, who was rushing over, was greatly shocked. What's going on? Zhang Bujing asked as he swung his sword in a seemingly random manner. Teach this is the Shushan sect's Master of Energy sword technique? I can't believe it can be used like this. Fei Tianyang's eyes went wide as he unsheathed his sword. Moments ago, he had been bragging that he didn't use a sword, but now he had no choice but to do so. Although he felt embarrassed, his life was still more important. Old Fei, Zhang Bujing said, looking at Fei Tianyang. I don't know how much your sword technique has improved over the years, but your ability to brag has definitely improved. You were just bragging a moment ago about not using a sword, and now you're using a sword for a sneak attack. You really are shameless, old man. Trapped in Gua Pai's sword energy, Fei Tianyang shouted, Come help me, Zhang Bujing. This brat is strange. I'm not a match for him. From now on, you masters of energy shouldn't say you're from the Shushan sect. It's too embarrassing. With that, Zhang Bujing pulled out his sword and charged toward Guopai. Although he looked down on Fei Tianyang, he knew that Fei Tianyang didn't seem to be faking it. Clearly, this brat had some skills. If I had just let you two come at me together, I wouldn't have had to go through all this trouble. Guopai ignored Fei Tianyang and smiled at Zhang Bujing. Shushan sect is all about speed. The swordsmanship of Mount Shu is based on speed. Just like all other martial arts in the world, only speed is unbreakable. Other than Zhang Sanfeng's Taiji sword, the other swordsmanship of Huaxia is all about speed. Originally, the speed of Mount Shu's swordsmanship should be the speed of the swordsmanship, but since your sword qi is separated, you will never be able to reach the peak of speed. Look carefully, I will only give you this one chance. The battle between the two only lasted for an instant. Guopao and Zhang Bujing landed on the ground at the same time. Guopao had a smile on his face while Zhang Bujing was drenched in sweat. Others might not be able to tell, but Zhang Bujing sensed it. The moment the two of them came into contact, Guopao's longsword had carefully poked his body 18 times and made 18 thin cut. Of course, if one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't be able to see that his Taoist robe was made of good material and had many small holes and cracks. That said, Zhang Bujing had benefited greatly from this exchange. If he could fully comprehend the meaning behind Guopai's sword attack, his sword technique would improve by at least 30%. Thank you, little you. Thank you. Zhang Bujing turned around and looked at the smiling Guopao. He opened his mouth and said these words. Although his voice was very soft, the surrounding Shu Mountain elders heard it clearly. At this time, Fei Tianyang had also escaped from Guopao's sword qi formation. He was in a much more sorry state than Zhang Bujing. There were 2 bloody scars on his face caused by the sword qi. But now, he didn't have any temper. If he hadn't used the strength of the fasting realm, it was very likely that he would have been seriously injured by the sword qi formation. The sword qi formation just now had greatly improved his understanding of the qi formation. Little you, thank you. Old Fei apologizes for offending you just now. Fei Tianyang was more direct than Guopai. The strong were respected. He couldn't defeat Guopai in the same realm. Moreover, he was shocked by the strength that Guopai had displayed. There's no need for thanks. Take these medicinal pills. Once my brother recovers, we'll leave. Guopai smiled and tossed a jade bottle over to Fei Tianyang. As for how he and Zhang Bujing would split the pills, Guopai didn't care. Fei Tianyang accepted the jade bottle gratefully, and Zhang Bujing hurried over. Yuer couldn't help but laugh when she saw the expressions on the 2 old men's faces. Old Fei, Zhang Bujing said, this is for the Shushan sect, not for you masters of energy. You can't take it all for yourself. I'm not like you, Zhang Bujing, Fei Tianyang said, looking at Zhang Bujing with disdain. You sword cultivators don't understand the mysteries of medicinal pills. Back when the sword sect and the master of energy had been separated, the art of pill concocting had been passed down to the master of energy. Cough, cough. So what if I don't know? I can ask if I don't know. Zhang Bujing said indignantly. Little friend, may I know what effect this pill has? Not much, Guopai said with a smile. It'll save you a lot of trouble when you're in the late Xiantian level and enter the enlightened level. You too can try one. Although it won't have much of an effect on the Anidia level, it'll still be useful. Old Phil, quickly give me one. I want to test its efficacy. Zhang Bujing said loudly. Fei Tianyang took out 2 pills and gave one to Zhang Bujing. The 2 of them swallowed them at the same time. Sect Lord, are you all right? Soon, the expressions on their faces changed, and the elders couldn't help but ask. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang exchanged a glance and said, the rewards for the dual-sex combat competition are going to be changed. Chapter 265. Pass down my orders, Zhang Bujing said loudly. All disciples of the Mount Shu Sword sect are not to approach the resting platform. Those who violate the rules will be punished. Fei Tianyang did the same to the disciples of the Mount Shu Sword sect. Guopai nodded at the two of them. The sect leaders of the Mount Shu Sword sect were not bad. At the very least, they had good eyesight. However, the elders of the Mount Shu Sword sect did not know why the two sect leaders had changed so drastically. Kong Fei stayed on the resting platform until 12 o'clock in the evening, when a strong aura appeared on the resting platform. Kong Fei slowly stood up. This time, he had used the secret magic of the Grand Magus, which had caused great harm to his body. However, with Guo Pao's help, not only had his body recovered, his strength had also improved qualitatively. He was now only one step away from the fasting stage. Boss eyes. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Kong Fei looked at Guopai excitedly. Of course, he could feel the changes in his body, but he could not believe it. Kong Fei, I've made you suffer this time. Try not to use the secret technique I taught you as much as possible. Although it was a blessing in disguise and your strength increased a lot, I can't guarantee that you won't have such an opportunity next time. Guo Pao said with a smile. This time in Shushan, Guo Pao happened to find a resting platform in Shushan, which allowed Kong Fei to recover so quickly. If it was somewhere else, he would not be so lucky. As Kong Fei woke up, Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang appeared below the resting platform. They had not rested, and had been waiting for Kong Fei to wake up. Kong Fei, let's go down together. I'll take you to meet the two sect leaders of the most powerful sect in Huaxia, Wu Xiu's Mount Shu Sword sect. Guo Pai said with a smile. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang's faces turned red. They could not afford to be called the most powerful sect in Huaxia. The scene of them being defeated by Guo Pai in the morning was still fresh in their minds. Little Yu has said it. Let's get to know each other again. I am Zhang Bujing of the Mount Shu Sword sect. How should I address you, Little Yu? What sect are you from? Who is your master? Zhang Bujing asked with a smile. My name is Guo Scoundrel. I'm a disciple of the Heavenly Dao sect. My master is a loose cultivator from the East Sea. My name is not worth mentioning, Guo Scoundrel said with a smile. So you are a disciple of the Tiandao sect. No wonder you are so amazing. Sorry for the disrespect. Fei Tianyang said with a smile. Guo Pai's eyes widened. Big Bro had just casually mentioned Tiandao sect. What the hell were you being disrespectful for? However, Guo Pai continued to smile at Fei Tianyang. Guo Pai, Little Yu, I have asked the kitchen to prepare some food. Kong Fei, Little Yu, you have just recovered. Why don't you go and eat something first? Zhang Bujing said with a smile. Guo Pai nodded his head lightly and woke up Yuer, who was still meditating. He brought Kong Fei and followed the two sect leaders to the dining hall of the Divine Martial Hall. Little Yu, please come in. Let me introduce you. These are the elders of Mount Shu, Fei Tianyang said with a smile. Fei Tianyang said with a smile. Several elders stood up one after another. The pills that Guo Pao had given to Shushan had already been verified. The elders began to have differing opinions. There were even some who suggested killing Guo Pao for the pills. However, when they thought about the strength that Guo Pao had displayed, the entire Shushan Mountain decided to maintain a good relationship with him. Everyone must be very surprised that I was able to break the array outside your divine martial hall, right? Guo Pai did not eat anything. He looked at the elders and said with a smile, back then, our Tiandao sect's mind-reading old ancestor had a good relationship with your Mount Shu Wuji. The Divine Martial Hall is no secret to our Tiandao sect. So you are the descendant of an old friend. No wonder you know so much about our Mount Shu and are so strong. The elders nodded their heads. Wu Xiu, who had an inheritance, was respected by all the Wu Xiu in Huaxi. Little Yu, eat something first. Let's talk while we eat, Zhang Bujing said with a smile. Guopai did not stand on ceremony. The food that Mount Shu made was not bad. At least, it was wild meat. Seeing Guopai like this, Kong Fei also ate without holding back. After such a long time, he was really hungry. Guopai, little you, I wonder if the pills you gave us are from your sect's inheritance. Or is there a pharmacist in Tiandao's sect who can refine them? Fei Tianyang asked softly. Although this kind of question was usually not easy to ask, for the future development of Mount Shu, Fei Tianyang put down his face. Old Mr. Fei, Mount Shu is considered a big sect in Huaxia. Does Mount Shu have a pharmacist who can refine such pills? Guopai did not answer directly. Instead, he asked with a smile. There are a few pharmacists in Mount Shu. However, the quality of the pills that they refine cannot be compared to the pills that little you gave us. Fei Tianyang answered honestly. I wonder if you can take me to see the place where Mount Shu pharmacists refine pills? Guopai asked with a smile. When Master Wuji flew to the heavenly realm, he did not take many things with him. Perhaps this time, he could get some good things from Mount Shu. Well, little you have to wait for a while. If you want to go to our Mount Shu medicinal tower, we have to inform the seniors of the medicinal tower. Zhang Bujing said with a hint of helplessness. Kid, you can wait for a while. However, it can't be too long. You can let the elders of the medicinal tower take a look at these pills, Guopai said as he handed 3 pills of different colors to Zhang Bujing. Zhang Bujing took the pills and handed them to an elder. That elder hurriedly walked out of the restaurant. Guopai believed that no one in the world could refine such pills except for him. About half an hour later, a white-haired old man rushed into the restaurant. He had a medicinal fragrance all over his body and a look of excitement on his face. After entering, he looked at Zhang Bujing and asked loudly, "Where is he? Who gave you the pills just now? Little Jingjing, tell me." Cough, cough, cough. Big grandfather, can you not call me Little Jingjing? Zhang Bujing said with a flushed face. This person was the elder brother of Zhang Bujing's grandfather. He was the #1 pharmacist in Mount Shu Medicinal Tower, medicine maniac Zhang, who had watched Zhang Bujing grow up. I'm here. Where is he? Where is he? Little Yang Yang, what are you laughing at? Do you know where he went? Medicine maniac Zhang looked at Fei Tianyang and asked loudly. Cough, cough. Grandpa Qi, the pills were provided by this little you from the Heavenly Tao sect. He is the descendant of a friend of our Mount Shu sect's founding ancestor. Fei Tianyang was afraid that medicine maniac Zhang would call him Little Yang Yang again. I don't care about the Heavenly Tao sect. I can roughly feel the ingredients of this pill. The quality of the ingredients is not high. It was not passed down from 10,000 years ago. It was refined recently. Little fellow, who refined this pill? Tell me and I will agree to anything you want. Medicine maniac Zhang said excitedly. Senior, don't be so excited. Isn't it just a few pills? This kind of pill doesn't even need to be refined by our Heavenly Tao sect seniors. I can make it myself, Guopai said with a smile. The entire Mount Shu sect's people in the restaurant opened their eyes wide. Hee, little fellow, aren't you afraid of biting your tongue when you talk big? If you can refine such a pill, this old man is willing to worship you as his master. Medicine maniac Zhang said loudly. Medicine maniac Zhang's words caused the entire restaurant to suddenly quiet down. Senior, I think it's better to forget about it. Our Heavenly Tao sect doesn't casually accept people. Since my brother's injuries have recovered, I won't disturb Mount Shu sect. The martial arts competition between the two sects is about to begin. Mount Shu sect shouldn't have time to deal with this little fellow. Guopai pulled you and prepared to leave. You can't leave. If you want to leave Mount Shu sect, you have to win against me. Medicine maniac Zhang suddenly stopped Guopai and said loudly, If you win against me, this old man will agree to anything you want. Chapter 266. Senior, I don't think Shu Mountain used to keep people like this, Guopai said to Medicine Addict Zhang with a smile. I don't care. Anyway, you can't leave, Medicine Addict Zhang said loudly and blocked Guopai's path. Bad guy big brother, we have to hurry back to the imperial capital. Hurry up and win against this crazy old man so that we can leave safely, Yu said with a smile. The people of Shu Mountain widened their eyes. Grandpa, you can take care of the medical tower. Little Yu is a disciple of Tiandao sect. You can't make things difficult for him, Zhang Bujing couldn't help but say. Get lost. What do you know? Do you know the value of the elixir you asked people to send to the medical tower? Get lost. He must go to the medical tower with me. If he wins, I won't stop him, Medicine Addict Zhang said loudly. Little Yu, why don't you go to the medical tower with my grandpa? You can rest assured that no matter if you win or lose, I will find a way to let you leave Shu Mountain, Zhang Bujing whispered to Guopai as he pulled him to the side. Sect Master Zhang, you just have to promise that your grandpa won't make things difficult for me if I win. Guopai stood in front of Medicine Addict Zhang with a smile. Senior, if I can refine the elixir that they give you, will I win this competition? That's right. As long as you can refine such elixir, this old man will admit defeat, Medicine Addict Zhang said loudly. Medicine Addict Zhang loudly said. Although Medicine Addict Zhang wasn't able to refine those 3 different colored pills, he could still feel the mysterious support of the pills. Looking at Guopao, it was impossible for him to have such ability at his age. Shu Mountain Medical Tower wasn't in the Divine Martial Hall. Guopai knew the location of the medical tower back then. He didn't care about Medicine Addict Zhang and walked straight to the medical tower. You guys actually told an outsider about the medical tower. What benefits did you receive from him? Medicine Addict Zhang shouted to Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang. Then, he hurriedly caught up with Guopai. We didn't say anything. Guopai is a disciple of the Tiandao sect and has some connections with our Shushan sect. It's not unreasonable for him to know about the medical tower, Zhang Bujing said loudly and followed them to the medical tower. It seems that these arrays created by Master Wuji back then are really useful. After so many years, they can still be used for teleportation. Guopao looked at the array that connected the Divine Martial Hall to the medicine tower and couldn't help but think to himself. Brat, so what if you know the location of the medical tower? Do you have the ability to break the formation and go to the medical tower? Medicine Addict Zhang said with a hint of ridicule. Old man, take a good look. Do you think this formation can stump yours truly? I really don't know what you're thinking. Guopao didn't call him senior anymore. As he spoke, he walked to the front of an open space and performed the 7-star step. A moment later, a door appeared in midair as if by magic. Guopao directly jumped in. Brat, how do you know so many secrets of Shushan? Who are you? I've never heard of the Tiandao sect, Medicine Addict Zhang said loudly and jumped in. Froda. If I knew it was so overbearing, I would have left it to my descendants. Sigh, exchanging a Froda for the Shushan God-slaying sword manual is really not worth it, Guopai couldn't help but think to himself. Brat, come in. Medicine Addict Zhang looked at Guopai, who was deep in thought, and said with a hint of pride. This medical tower was the most awesome thing in Huaxia and Wuxiu world. The medical tower was even more powerful than the Divine Martial Hall. This was the pride of Shushan sect. Damn, it's really a big sect. After Guopao entered, a medicinal fragrance assaulted his nostrils. Following that, Guopao looked at the rows of neatly arranged medicine cabinets. Guopao's eyes widened. He knew that Shushan had a deep foundation, but he didn't expect that the inheritance over the past 1,000 years would be so profound. Damn, these herbs are so much better than the Ghost Doctor sect's medicine room. Damn, it's a waste to give these herbs to Shushan sect. They don't even have true Samadhi fire. It's a waste to use these herbs. I'm Lei Feng, I'm a living Lei Feng. These things won't be wasted if I take them away, Guo Pai shouted excitedly in his heart. Brat, our Shushan medical tower is not bad, Medicine Addict Zhang said proudly. There are a lot of things, but it's really a waste to give them to you alchemists. Guo Pai didn't look at Medicine Addict Zhang. His eyes fell on a simple medicine cabinet in the depths of the medical tower. The things inside should be the only things on Earth. Guo Pai really couldn't help it. Even when he was in the Tang dynasty, he didn't see so many good things. The herbs inside were considered top-grade herbs even in the heavenly court. Brat, if you can win against me in alchemy, I'll let you choose 10 herbs from this medical tower. This old man will also worship you as his master. How about it? Medicine Addict Zhang didn't get angry and said loudly. What if I lose? Guo Pai asked with a smile. Lose? If you lose, then you have to take me to your Tiandao sect to meet the seniors of your Tiandao sect. Then, you can give me 10 of those elixirs you gave me just now. Even 5 is fine, Medicine Addict Zhang said with a smile. Senior, I accept this bet. If none of your Shushan alchemists can win against this brat, then according to what you said, I'll choose 10 herbs from this medical tower. As a reward, I'll also give you 10 of each 3-colored elixir, Guo Pai said with a smile. If you can win against this brat, I'll give the prescription of the 3-colored elixir to your Shushan sect. As for meeting the seniors of my Tiandao sect, I'm sorry. My masters in Tiandao sect are all in closed-door cultivation. You won't be able to meet them. Of course, it's basically impossible for you to win against me, haha, Guo Pai said with a laugh. Haha, brat, I appreciate you more and more now. In that case, wait a moment. I'll call all the alchemists of the medical tower over. Medicine Addict Zhang said with a smile. Zhang Bujing asked someone to call the other alchemists of the medical tower. What? Someone came to the medical tower to cause trouble? We'll go immediately. They really don't know what's good for them. Which sect are they from? A few people who were drinking on the top floor of the medical tower heard someone's report and directly ran to the cauldron level of the medical tower. Medicine Addict Zhang, who wants to challenge our medical tower? Since you're here, we won't join in the fun. Hurry up and deal with them. Let's go drink. Qing Dakuan, the alchemist in the medical tower, who was second only to Medicine Addict Zhang, said with a smile. Dakuan, this little Yu is a disciple of the Tiandao sect. He has some connections with our Shushan sect. You should know that I got a few peerless grade elixirs from this little Yu. Today's alchemy competition is between our medical tower and this little Yu. Medicine Addict Zhang said with a smile. Old Zhang, when did you have the habit of bullying children? I'm not participating. How old is he? It's not glorious even if he wins. Another old man from the medical tower said with a smile. You're all quite good at talking. Then do you dare to bet? If Brother Bad Guy wins all of you, we can choose anything from this medical tower. Yu looked at the group of arrogant alchemists from Shushan sect and asked loudly. If this kid can win against our Shushan sect, the entire medical tower won't be a problem for you. Qing Dakuan said loudly. Zhang Bujing and Fei Tianyang couldn't stop him and could only shake their heads helplessly. Although they didn't know how good Guo Pai's alchemy skills were, they could feel that this youth was definitely not ordinary from the beginning of the fight with Guo Pai. If he really won by chance, they would lose face. Haha, since Shushan sect wants to give this medical tower to us, then we won't be polite. Guo Pai said with a smile. Let's begin. Everyone's time is very precious. 9 Dragons Heavenly King Cauldron, take out. Medicine Addict Zhang couldn't help but shake his head when he heard Qing Dakuan say that he would use the medical tower as a bet. However, since he had agreed, he would go all out. He really didn't believe that Guo Pai could beat him in alchemy. Chapter 267. With the shout of medicine addict Zhang, a medicinal cauldron with a diameter of about 1 meter appeared in front of them. 9 lifelike dragon-shaped carvings were carved on the cauldron, making the people in the medical tower feel a trace of pressure. It's really a good thing. That old man Wuji really has some stock. Guopai couldn't help but secretly say in his heart. It was no wonder. When he ascended to the heavenly realm, all his magic treasures were destroyed when he resisted the 9 wrath heavenly thunder. He didn't leave many things for his people. But Wuji was different. When the 6 wrath heavenly thunder fell, he knew that he had no problem resisting the heavenly thunder. He left everything he could to his disciples, which also led to a grand event in Shushan. Boy, how is my medicinal cauldron? Medicine addict Zhang asked with a smile as he saw Guopai staring at the medicinal cauldron. The medicinal cauldron is not bad, but you can't exert its full strength. Guopai said with a smile. Refine the medicine. You will know what I mean in a while. I can't exert the full strength of the medicinal cauldron, but you can? Medicine addict Zhang thought to himself in a bad mood. If the seniors of your Tiandao sect said such words, this old man would have listened. You are just a little guy, what are you pretending for? Medicine addict Zhang didn't say much. He took the herbs he needed to refine the medicine from the medicine cabinet of the medical tower one by one. Guopai nodded gently. This old man seemed to have some ability. Guopai could almost determine what the medicine he wanted to refine was. It should be a small ancient recipe left behind by Wuji. Senior, if you want to refine medicine, you can't do it without fire. I remember that in the ancient records of our Tiandao sect, Wuji caught 2 fire mythological beasts. I don't know if these fire mythological beasts are still alive. Guopai said with a smile. From the moment he entered the medical tower, he felt the aura of the 2 fire mythological beasts. When Wuji caught the fire mythological beasts, he showed them off in front of Chen Qingyuan for a long time. Only when Chen Qingyuan obtained the phoenix soaring fire did he stop showing off. Of course, Chen Qingyuan used the Samadhi true fire from the Heavenly Lord to ascend to the heavenly realm. You even know about the fire mythological beasts? Who are you? Medicine addict Zhang's eyes widened. Not to mention outsiders, even many Shushan disciples didn't know about the existence of the fire mythological beast. This Guopai actually said it out loud. How could he not be surprised? Guopai didn't explain much. This medicine tower was the Froda that he had given to Wuji back then. He knew very well where the fire mythical beast was now. The only thing he was thinking about now was whether the fire mythical beast would recognize him. Some strange beasts had much stronger senses than humans. Fire god beast, please. Zhang Yaoqi looked at the sky above the medicine tower and shouted. From his voice, one could tell that Zhang Yaoqi was absolutely devoted to the 2 fire god beasts. Along with medicine maniac Zhang's shout, everyone in the medicine tower, except for Guopai and Yu'er, slowly closed their eyes and quietly waited for the fire god beast to appear. Big brother bad guy, this aura seems to be the aura of the heavenly court's Li Hua beast. Could it be that this fire god beast is the descendant of the Li Hua beast? Yu'er asked softly. Guopai was stunned at first, then he nodded with joy. How could he not think of it? The aura of this fire god beast was indeed related to the Li Hua beast. Back then, he had a good relationship with the Li Hua beast of Taishang Laojun. Maybe he could trick a fire god beast into working for him. Compared to using the true Samadhi fire, it was too strenuous. A moment later, the temperature of the medicine tower suddenly soared. 2 handsome beasts about the size of a lion with red bodies appeared in front of them. Medicine addict Zhang bowed deeply to them. The fire god beast nodded slightly, then their eyes fell on Yu'er. Big guy, what are you looking at? Yu'er was not afraid of the 2 big guys at all and said with a smile. 2 little guys, if you keep looking at my wife like this young master will get angry. Guopai looked at the two fire god beasts and said with a smile. At this time, the two fire god beasts were stunned at first, then they stared at Guopai. This is our fire god beast of Shu Mountain. Don't be rude. Several pharmacists of the medicine tower said loudly. Li Hui Qiankuan, Zizai Xiaoyao, you just have some bloodline. Don't scare people. Guopai said with a smile. The two fire god beasts' aura suddenly weakened. Hurry up and refine the medicine. We still have to go back to the imperial capital. Yuer pulled Guopai and said, Big brother bad guy, are you going to take advantage of these two guys? Hee hee, big wife, don't you think it's interesting to get a big guy back to the medical tower? Guopai said with a smile. The two fire god beasts stepped forward and made an intimate gesture to Guopai, which made the people of Shu Mountain widen their eyes. Senior, let's refine the medicine. Medicine Addict Zhang nodded gently. The two fire god beasts stood on both sides of the Nine Dragons' heavenly king cauldron. Then, the two fire god beasts opened their mouths and two hot auras firmly surrounded the medicinal cauldron. Medicine Addict Zhang was not idle. He quickly threw the medicinal herbs in his hand into the medicinal cauldron. These two big guys are not the two caught by Wuji. They should be the descendants of those two fire god beasts. Otherwise, it's impossible for them not to recognize me. Guopai said softly. Yuer nodded with a smile. But they still inherited the bloodline of their father or grandfather. They can more or less feel my existence. Guopai said with a smile. I'll make some delicious food for them in a while. These two little guys are also sullen staying in this medical tower. Follow this young master out for a stroll. Medicine Addict Zhang really had put in a lot of effort in concocting medicine. After about the time it takes an incense stick to burn, a medicinal aroma wafted out from the medicinal cauldron. Guopai walked over to the medicinal cauldron, where the embryos had already formed. If he could successfully form the pills, they would be of decent quality. At the very least, they would be considered good things in the mortal world. The two fire god beasts smelled the medicinal aroma coming from the medicinal cauldron. They had worked together with Medicine Addict Zhang for many years, and the temperature of the cauldron rose a bit. The three embryos began to rotate rapidly, and the originally rough surface of the cauldron became smooth. Medicine Addict Zhang roared, then leaped up and opened the cauldron lid. He quickly reached into the cauldron with one hand, then landed firmly on the ground. At the same time, the two fire god beasts sucked the flames into their mouth. Big Grandpa, your alchemy skills have become even more amazing. Why don't you give the finished pills to our sword school? Zhang Bujing said with a smile. He didn't dare to keep the medicinal pills that Guopai had given him, but he did dare to shamelessly ask for the pills concocted by his big grandpa. Grandpa Zhang, Fei Tianyang hastily said, you should give them to our Masters of Energy. Masters of Energy focus on energy cultivation, and with the help of medicinal pills, they'll be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Ignoring the two sect masters, Medicine Addict Zhang smiled at Guopai and said, Little you, my alchemy skills are passable, right? This should be called a qi channeling pill. The quality is pretty good and the appearance is passable. Guopai looked at the pill in Medicine Addict Zhang's hand and smiled. But if we're talking about Senior's alchemy skills, then forgive me for being blunt, but they're just SOSO. Guopai's words were like a drop of water in a pot of boiling oil. The alchemists in the medicine tower all stared with wide eyes, and some of them even looked at Guopai with displeasure, preparing to attack him. In truth, ever since they had heard that Guopai wanted to compete with the alchemists from the medicine tower, they had been very displeased with him. Little you, sometimes you shouldn't be so full of yourself. If you can't take back your words, then you'll look bad. Medicine Maniac Zhang was truly angry this time. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Guopao. This old man will say the same thing. If you can beat this old man, then this old man will take you as his master. But if you lose, then you'll have to take this old man to see the elders of your Heavenly Path sect. A few chi channeling pills? They're far inferior to a meridian opening pill. They're just SOSO, you were added in an infuriating tone. Guopai arranged the herbs one by one and then sat down cross-legged for about half an incense stick's worth of time. In the beginning, the alchemists of the medicine tower were still discussing spiritedly, but Zhang Yao and Qing Dakuan seemed to have noticed something and their expressions became serious. Now is the time. The spiritual power on earth is very thin now. We can only rely on time to make up for it. Guopai stood up abruptly, picked up the cauldron with both hands and threw it into the air. The cauldron stopped steadily in the air. Then, he opened the cauldron and poured the herbs into it. Then, a flame was released from the Laojuan's gourd that Guopai carried and directly surrounded the cauldron. The moment the flame emerged, everyone in the medicine tower, except for Yu widened their eyes. The heat emitted by the flame made them feel fear in their hearts. The two fire mythological beasts stared at the flame surrounding the 9 dragons' heavenly king cauldron. They were originally a little lazy, but they suddenly became nervous. One of the smaller fire mythological beasts couldn't help but take a few steps back. Guopai naturally didn't notice this because he was wholeheartedly immersed in refining medicine. Old Zhang, where did this kid come from? How much do you know about the Tiandao sect? Qing Dakuan couldn't help but ask when he saw Guopai stop in the air. The hot flame surrounded the cauldron, and a medicinal fragrance wafted out from the cauldron. I know about the same as you. I only know that he is a disciple of the Tiandao sect. I didn't expect him to be so good at refining medicine. Medicine addict Zhang couldn't help but say. If Guopai could refine the pill, they would definitely lose this time. Guopai continued refining medicine for more than an hour. Yu found a secluded place to sit down. Everyone else was standing. Their eyes were unwilling to leave Guopai. Beautiful sister, big brother is really amazing. After such a long time, he is still refining medicine. What kind of medicine is he going to refine? A little medicine boy from the Shushan Medical Tower walked to the front of Yu and whispered. He came here later. After watching for more than 20 minutes, he felt that it was boring. He carefully walked to the side of Yu. Little guy, you are also from Shushan, right? You will know in a while. In the future, this medical tower will be ours. You can't stay inside. Yu looked at the little boy in front of her and said with a smile. Big brother is really amazing. Master can't hold on for more than 20 minutes every time he refines medicine. The little boy whispered. Guopai's strength had completely conquered the little guy in front of him. Yu didn't say much. Who was Guopai? He was the mind-reading sage. In the past, he had a good relationship with Taishang Laojun in the heavenly court. He had stayed with Laojun for a long time. In terms of alchemy, there were not many people in the heavenly court who could compare with the mind-reading sage, let alone these sections. In this Buddha tower, there shouldn't be any lightning, right? After more than half an hour, the pill embryo in the medicine cauldron began to spin rapidly. Guopai couldn't help but think. Although the pills this time were not heaven-defying, they had already exceeded the limits of the rules in the mortal world. Guopai's guess was right. The Buddha tower was indeed a treasure. When the pills were formed, they had indeed deceived the heavens and there was no lightning. However, when he left the Buddha tower, he found out. The few people on the Wuji Peak of Shushan were scared out of their wit. The 6 Wrath heavenly thunder hovered above the Wuji Peak for a long time. There was no lightning and it didn't leave either. This made Taoist Bu and the others break out in cold sweat. Of course, the changes in Shushan also made the experts in Huaxia, who were in seclusion, think about it. Pills formed. Guopai roared. The flame returned to the gourd again. The medicine cauldron slowly descended. Guopai suddenly opened the lid of the medicine cauldron. The 4 pills were suspended in the medicine cauldron. The moment the lid of the medicine cauldron was opened, they seemed to want to rush out. Behave yourself. Guopai had consumed a lot of energy in refining the pills this time. The moment he withdrew the true samadhi fire, Guopai's face turned pale. However, he couldn't care less at this time. He reached out and grabbed the 4 pills tightly in his hand. The moment the pills were formed, the 2 fire mythological beasts stood up suddenly and looked at the medicine cauldron with excitement. However, the moment Guopai put away the pills, the 2 big guys withered again. They looked at the gourd on Guopai's waist and couldn't help but let out a helpless sound. The pills are formed. What's the quality? What kind of pills are they? The people from the medical tower couldn't help but ask when they saw the medicine cauldron fall. Spirit communication pill. The quality can no longer be measured by the current quality of pills. As for its effect, it doesn't have much effect on humans. It can only let a late-stage Sciention expert enter the enlightening stage directly. Guopai said with a smile. However, it's very useful for them. 2 little guys, do you want to eat it? Haha. You just said that this pill can let a late-stage Sciention expert enter the enlightening stage? That's impossible. How can there be such a pill? Medicine Addict Zhang shook his head in disbelief. We agreed at the beginning that I'll give you half. These 2 pills belong to your Shu Mountain sect. As for whether it has the effect I said, you can find someone to try it, Guopai said with a smile. However, his eyes fell on the little guy who was chatting with you. F***ck, Wuji actually left his inheritance to this little kid. Wuji owes me a lot. Guopai secretly said in his heart. Old senior, you can let that little guy have a taste of the medicinal pellet. According to his appearance, that little guy will definitely be able to unleash the medicinal efficacy of the medicinal pellet to its greatest extent after consuming it. Guopao pointed to the little boy and said, Little Han Wu, you're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.